Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Football Live. It's our job to bring you the goals, the red cards, VAR controversies, and the big talking points in a big afternoon of football in the Premier League. We'll also be venturing into Serie A and the Bundesliga too. And my goodness me, do we have some great action for you this afternoon. The teams will be in the tunnel very soon at the Etihad, Goodison Park, Bramall Lane, Turf Moor and the G-Tech Community Stadium. And, our reporters are on standby. We'll be off to the Etihad for a spot of team news in just a few moments' time. First of all, final whistle has sounded in the West London game on the banks of the Thames this morning. A very eventful week for Manchester United. I think you'll agree. It's ended Fulham 0, Manchester United 1. Bruno Fernandes with a goal in stoppage time at the end of the second half. And all 3 points go back to Old Trafford. We'll hear a report from Alex Guilford, who was watching that game, very shortly. First of all, let's try and get round the grounds ahead of kick-off. It's a tight squeeze. We've got a busy afternoon in the 3 o'clock kick-offs UK time, 4 o'clock West African time, of course. And we'll start with the champions, Manchester City, who blew away Manchester United last Sunday. Of course, it was covered here on Football Live. Today, most people are expecting a similar outcome when struggling Bournemouth visit the Etihad. Here is the City boss, Pep Guardiola.
So yeah, it's sometimes we love to play every 3 days, but sometimes have a break on a week to have 1 or 2 days off, and after the guys come back with a renovated, his energy renovated, and yeah, it's what it is. So we don't complain when we're playing a lot of games, and we don't complain when we have a long week.
Football Live's Pat Norrett will be watching this one. Good afternoon, Pat. Can you give us a little bit of team news ahead of kick-off?
Good afternoon, Barry. Good afternoon, everybody, as well. And yes, I can. And Manchester City, of course, take on Bournemouth, who are struggling. But incidentally, they won their last game 2-1 against Burnley. As for Man United, Manchester City, of course, that 3-0 away win last week. They make 4 changes. Ake, Akanji, Doku, Kovacic comes in. Full team: Edison, Ake, Akanji, Walker, Wadri, Stones, and then Doku comes in, Kovacic and Alvarez, Silva and Haaland up top. As for Bournemouth, like I said, they won their last game 2-1 against Burnley. As you were, so manager keeps the same team, is Radu in goal, Chavez, Kelly, McKenzie, Mayhem, Aarons as the back 5, and then Tavernier, Billings, Scott, Christie and Solanke up top. That's going to be a great game. In fact, I've got a stat for you, Barry. They've played them 12 times at City. They haven't lost one. So basically, Bournemouth, are they going to win today? We'll have to wait and see. We're about 7 minutes away from kick-off.
Thank you very much, Pat. I'm not expecting a Bournemouth win, but stranger things have, of course, happened in the world of football. I can tell you, Girona have won 4-2 at Osasuna in the Spanish League, and they go top for now at least. Bayer Leverkusen doing so well this season, winning at Hoffenheim. Early goal there for Florian Wirtz to give his side the lead. We'll go through the lunchtime results a little bit later on. Let's whistle around the grounds, shall we? There doesn't appear to be a weekend passes by without a London derby. Today, it's West London against East London, Brentford against West Ham United. Hard one to call, this one. And watching at the G-Tech for Football Live with the team news, it's Johnny Holmes.
Yeah, good afternoon, Barry. Good afternoon, everyone. Brentford and London derby. That's been going quite well recently, if we take anything from the results at Stamford Bridge last weekend. But the hosts will be without Keane Lewis Potter and Mikel Damsgaard, and West Ham's visit to the G-Tech Community Stadium will come too soon for Shandon Baptiste and Joshua Da Silva, while Kevin Schade with a groin injury and Rico Henry with a knee injury are long-term injury absentees for Brentford. West Ham United will be without midfield duo Edson Alvarez and Lucas Paqueta for the trip to Brentford. Both are suspended after picking up their 5th yellow cards respectively in the home Premier League match with Everton last Sunday. London derbies, they're fascinating. Let's hope this one will be the same.
Thank you very much, Johnny. We'll be back with Johnny, I'm sure, this afternoon. Should be an intriguing one, that one. That is a match I just cannot call. Brentford against West Ham United. They are both a little bit Jekyll and Hyde this season. So we'll see how that one goes. Could go either way, of course. A quick reminder that later in the show we have Newcastle United against Arsenal and the Klassiker, Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. What a second half of the show we've got. We're action-packed first half, but the second half, well, rather than quantity, we're really going for quality. They are two massive matches. Can't wait to get to them later on in the show. Now, Everton have had a good week. 2 wins in the last 6 days, both away from home in the league recently. Brighton are the visitors to Goodison Park this afternoon. Here is Sean Dyche, the Everton manager.
That winning mentality, it grows, and it does add on to your confidence level, and it adds on to the belief, and it brings a more assured view of the team, I think. And I think that kind of that winning mentality, that winning edge, I think it is important, and the more you build it, the more wins you get, the more it grows. So we want to continue that whilst being, realising we're playing a very good side in Brighton. We know they're a passing side, often want to break through the middle of the pitch, and the biggest thing of all, I think you've got to be tactically aware. I think teams that have done well against them have delivered good tactical performances. And I think finding that balance is important. We did do towards the end of last season. We've got to do that again because they're showing again this season they're a very good side.
And it's Dyche against De Zerbi this afternoon, bringing us team news from Goodison Park. Good afternoon to Duka Dugma.
Good afternoon, Barry. Yeah, you feel like this is a massive game for both teams, really. Everton really on a good run of form at the minute. Won 3 of their last 4 games in all competitions, keeping clean sheets in all three of those wins. They just make the 2 changes today. Sean Dyche drops Amadou Onana for the first time in the Premier League this season. Idrissa Gana Gueye comes in for him, and Ashley Young returns from suspension and replaces Nathan Patterson. Brighton make a wholesale changes after their disappointing draw against Fulham last weekend. They changed the goalkeeper. Bart Verbruggen comes in for Jason Steele, making his first away Premier League appearance for Brighton. Jan-Paul van Hekke comes into the back 3 along with Joel Veltman, replacing Adam Webster and Igor Julio. And the 2 midfielders both change as well, as Baleba and Dahoud make way for James Milner and Billy Gilmore.
Excellent, thank you very much, Durka. Now, last weekend it was reported that Paul Heckingbottom would be out of a job as the Sheffield United manager if they lost to Arsenal. They lost 5-0, 7 days later. He remains in the job, and here he is.
Yeah, but we've still not won, so we've still not done enough. Do you know that's what I'm saying? That we have to scrap and fight for those margins. A pat on the back in a game for us is not good enough. We have to get the point, simple. And that's what we need to continue fighting for and understand that. Don't shy away from being brave or being the one that may make the mistake. We have to be brave to take the ball. We have to be brave to go and compete, to try and win the ball back. And if the other teams are good enough to deal with us, so what? But we want that performance because we've shown when, even if it's been in games and we haven't quite managed to do it for 90 minutes, we've shown that when we have done it, we've been good enough.
Well, to the visitors to Bramall Lane this afternoon, Football Live has sent Kane Wears to keep an eye on this one. Good afternoon, Kane.
Good afternoon, Barry. Sheffield United are still searching for the first Premier League win of the season and have made 2 changes from their bruising 5-0 defeat at Arsenal. McAtee and Slimani dropped to the bench with Cameron Archer and George Bulldog into the starting 11. Wolves, who are unbeaten since mid-December, have also made 2 changes to the 2-2 draw last weekend to Newcastle. Kaladasic and Tommy Doyle, who's making his first Premier League start, coming into the starting 11 with Pedro Neto out with a hamstring injury and Boubacar Traore making the bench. Gary O'Neill's set to take charge of his 50th game today as a manager, but as a player, O'Neill's never won at Bramall Lane, drawn 3 and losing 2. Hopefully a good omen for Sheffield United.
Excellent, thank you very much, Kane Wears. We're keeping a close eye on matters at Bramall Lane. Now, our final Premier League match is kicking off at 4 o'clock today, West African time. It's at Turf Moor, the youngest manager in the Premier League against the oldest manager in the Premier League. Vincent Kompany, full of compliment for Roy Hodgson this week.
I don't know, but I looked a little bit obviously at his history as a coach, and you see, started in the 70s, I think, and then went through so many countries, so many leagues. So in terms of experience as well, it's different type of experience than if you say just in one country. And so he's a man with knowledge of the world, and you bring that into your management style, of course. And I can see why he's still doing it. I can see the passion in him. I'm lucky to have a father who's around the same age and still just as active as I see Roy Hodgson at the moment. And And yeah, I think all of us wish to be as healthy and energetic at his age.
Yes, indeed. With the Turf Moor team news, it's our very own Matt Key. Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon, Barry. Good afternoon, Football Live listeners. And as you mentioned there, Barry, we've got the oldest manager against the youngest manager. But one thing that links the two is they'll both be looking for 3 points today. Neither team in particularly good form, and after Burnley exited the EFL Cup in midweek, they come into this one on a 4-game losing run in the Premier League since beating Luton 2-1. 2-1 loss at Bournemouth last week, giving the Cherries their first home Premier League win of the season, means that they are desperate to pick up 3 points in this one and have made 3 changes to the starting 11. In come Bayer at the back, Berger in midfield and Rodriguez in attack, so a change in each position, and they come in for Al-Dekil, Cullen and Zarori respectively. As for Crystal Palace, well, after a really impressive win at Old Trafford at the end of September, they've not won since and just picked up 1 point out of the last 9 and head into this one with a poor record at Turf Moor as well. They are unchanged from last week's defeat against top of the league Tottenham. But some good news for Roy Hodgson's side is the return of Eberiche Eze after a spell of injury. He is on the bench. Big boost for Roy Hodgson's team. It's Turf Moor. Both teams need a win. It's Burnley versus Crystal Palace.
Thank you very much for that, Matt. Now, earlier on, the final whistle blew at Craven Cottage. Fulham were playing Manchester United. It's been a busy old week in terms of news for Manchester United. Takeovers, 2-3-0 home defeats. All eyes were on them today. It was hardly a scintillating performance, but what does matter is that you pick up 3 points, and that's exactly what Manchester United did do. Here is Alex Guilford with a report from Craven Cottage.
Yes, hi Barry, I'm at Craven Cottage where Manchester United have just snatched victory from the jaws of a pretty stodgy draw. Bruno Fernandes squeezed in a late winner from about 20 yards in the first minute of injury time at the end of the game. United were pretty poor in the first half. The only real talking point was Scott McTominay's goal being chalked off for offside. It was deemed that Harry Maguire had interfered with play, even though he hadn't got on to the end of Christian Eriksen's free kick. So even though it was a case of offside, it was deemed to be a subjective offside decision. So referee John Brooks was asked to go to the pitch side monitor to make a decision himself. Ultimately, he decided that Maguire had interfered with play sufficiently for the goal not to stand. From that moment on, Fulham had the Lions' share of the first half, you'd have to say. Willian looking particularly threatening down the left, but they were unable to penetrate. In the second half, United were slightly improved. There was a bit more urgency to their play. Facundo Pellistri came off the bench and gave them a bit more penetration down the right. It had looked like it wasn't going to be their afternoon, but in injury time, João Palhinha, who was otherwise excellent, failed to clear his lines properly. The ball fumbled around and Bruno Fernandes slotted home from the edge of the box. Frustration for Fulham. Their poor run against Manchester United continues. Manchester United will take 3 points if they can get them at this stage, but still plenty of questions remain. Full time at Craven Cottage, Fulham 0, Manchester United 1.
Thank you very much for that, Alex. It was at Craven Cottage watching Fulham 0, Manchester United 1. Bruno Fernandes with a goal in injury time to take all 3 points, and he's a little bit of pressure on Erik ten Hag in the lunchtime kickoff today. Wasn't a thriller. Wasn't too many chances, could have gone either way, but in the end Manchester United squeezed all 3 points out of that game. No such problems for Celtic playing against 10-man Ross County north of the border in the SPFL in Scotland. They won 3-0 to keep up their great start to the season at the top of the table. Let's quickly go to Matt Key, shall we? He's watching the game between Burnley and Palace, and Matt, there's been an early chance for Burnley.
Yeah, a really good start from the home team. They've kept the ball really well in these opening 2 minutes and just come close. It was Goodmanson down the right-hand side who, after a nice bit of interchange, whipped the ball in. And it was a really good chance, and it was Amdoni that was on the end of it, and he headed it wide, about 8 yards out, you'd say. He had a bit more time. He obviously didn't realise that. He could have potentially brought it down, but in the end his header looped wide. Sam Johnson was slightly concerned for a moment, but no harm done in the Palace goal. But a good start from Vincent Kompany's side, and he's applauding on the sideline. Really big game for Burnley. They're desperate to get 3 points. 3 minutes gone. Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 0.
Thanks, Matt. Let's head just a little bit further south down in Manchester at the Etihad. Manchester City taking on Bournemouth. Early stages of this one. I expect Pat Narrett is going to tell me that City are on top, aren't you, Pat?
They are, but I wouldn't say it's early days yet. They're dominating. It's like a slow pace. What Bournemouth are doing, they're setting up in a 5-4-1 every time City get the ball, and City trying to move them from side to side. But no clear chances. With 4 minutes gone, it's still Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you very much for that, Pat. We were covering the early results in the lunchtime games. Bit of breaking news for you, and it comes on the back of a big win at lunchtime for Chelsea's women. They won 6-0 away at Aston Villa in the lunchtime kickoff today. 6 different goal scorers in that match at the Poundland Bescott, including Millie Bright and Fran Kirby. But some breaking news coming out of that game after the game is that Emma Hayes, the manager of Chelsea, will be leaving Chelsea at the end of the season. So Emma Hayes, it's just been broke, is going to be leaving as the manager of Chelsea women at the end of the season. And she's made that announcement after a 6-0 win today at Aston Villa. Let's have a look at those early results. We told you, easy win for Celtic, 3-0 at Ross County. An away win too for Manchester United. Girona have gone top in Spain. They only needed a point today. They got all 3, 2 late goals, 4-2 win away at Osasuna. The games are getting underway. It's FA Cup first round day today, and we'll be keeping a close eye on those games. Some Nigerian players taking part, including Victor Adeboyeju. He scored 5 goals this season in the third tier in EFL League One for promotion chasers Bolton. They're taking on Solihull Moors this afternoon. That's currently 0-0. Swindon Town of the EFL are 2-0 down against non-league Aldershot after just 4 minutes at home. So there are going to be some shocks. And congratulations, by the way, to Horsham, who play their football in the Isthmian League, the 7th tier. They came back with a late goal last night to draw at League One Barnsley 3-3. So that's where the minnows, the non-league part-timers, come in against the Football League sides from League One and League Two today. It's always a big day in the football calendar in England, the FA Cup first round. We'll keep a close eye on those games as they unfold. Of course, we'll keep an even closer eye on the Premier League this afternoon. Let's head to Goodison Park, shall we? Doka Dubma is watching Everton against Brighton. And Doka, a good chance early on for the Toffees.
Yeah, really good chance for Everton. It was Dwight McNeil on the left-hand side, whipped in a brilliant cross, and it wasn't dealt well enough by James Milton. It kind of just hit the ball against his head, and then it fell so kindly on the volley to Abdoulaye Doucouré, who was about 6 yards out, he must have been. It hits it on the volley, but it was straight at Bart Verbruggen, the goalkeeper, and he makes what was a comfortable save, really. If he hit it either side of the goalkeeper, it would have been 1-0 Everton. But as it stands at Goodison, Everton 0, Brighton 0.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And I can tell you, we've got our first goal of the season. We stole in there on Duca. He just told you it was Everton 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, but Everton making a promising start. I can tell you that we have a goal for Everton. And they have taken the lead in that game, and we will be back to hear all about it. Mikalenko, the Ukrainian international, with the goal. It's Everton 1, Brighton 0. Our first goal of the afternoon in the Premier League. Let's get around the game, shall we? Let's touch base on the games that we haven't spoken to the reporters since kick-off, 4 o'clock local time in Nigeria. Johnny Holmes is watching the local derby. It's West London against East London. It's Brentford against West Ham United at the G-Tech Community Stadium. I said before, it's hard to tell which way this is going to go. Johnny, how's the opening exchanges looked?
I'd say so. The two sides here at the G-Tech Arena. They've been the ones stealing forward with most of the possession. A few crosses into the box, trying to slide Antonio in, who actually put Flecken, the Brentford goalkeeper, under a lot of... And Flecken on the turf, just got 8 to his lines before Antonio could ball away from him. Just over the last way into the game, but so far West Ham will be West Ham is here.
Thank you very much, Johnny. He's breaking up a little bit there. Hopefully we can sort out that problem. Let's get back to Goodison Park. Dr. Goodberg can tell us all about the goal for Everton, who lead against Brighton.
Yeah, it's a very interesting finish, I must say. A ball was fizzed into the box, but it took a big deflection. Went into the way of Mikalenko, who had a shot, was kind of bobbling around and comes back and then hits it brilliantly on volley from about 2 yards out. Verbruggen gets sort of a hand to it, I believe, but just kind of palms it into the roof of his net. And it's Everton 1, Brighton 0, and it's completely deserved. Everton have been all over Brighton in the early stage of this game.
Seem to be getting themselves together now, don't they, Everton, leading against Brighton by 1-0. Let's head to Kane Wears, who's watching Sheffield United this afternoon. They're at home to Wolves. A big game down at the bottom of the table, certainly for Sheffield United. 1 win from 10. Kane, good start from Sheffield United or not?
Been a bit of a stoppy start. Start of the game so far with injuries to Aiton Nuri, Baldock and Hwang, where we've had lots of breaks in play, but one decent chance for Wolves actually to visit us today, where it's just an attack down the right hand side with Cunha, just knocks it past the fullback and just drives inside, slides the ball in, he does, for Kaladasic, who's just coming to meet the ball on the edge of the box, and he just sends it wide past the post. So still at Bramall Lane, Sheffield United 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0.
Thank you very much for that update, and I can tell you there has been another goal in the Premier League this afternoon. They're coming thick and fast and very quickly.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And I can tell you that it's been scored by Brentford, and they have taken the lead against West Ham United. It's Neil Maupay. It's been a while since he's hit the back of the net, hasn't it? Well, he's scored on loan from Everton, who of course have just scored as well. So it's Brentford 1, West Ham United 0. 2 goals in the opening 10 or 11 minutes. You're listening to Football Live.
Who wants a free bet? NairaBet has you covered. Newcastle take on Arsenal. We are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 1,000 Naira. Whether you back the Magpies or the Gunners, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log into www.nairabet.com, bet on Newcastle versus Arsenal, receive a free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match markets or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Football Live is back on Brila FM tomorrow afternoon from 3:10 with Dean Kilford. 2 fantastic matches in the Premier League. A Midlands derby at the City Ground where Nottingham Forest take on Aston Villa. And in a 5:30 kick-off at Kenilworth Road, it's Luton Town against Liverpool. We'll also dip into La Liga in Spain, where Valencia take on Granada, and Heidenheim against Stuttgart is our featured game in the German Bundesliga. An action-packed show lined up for you tomorrow afternoon on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM.
Sports Radio 88.9 Brila FM.
Oh my word, what is going on here?
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
I don't know how to describe it anymore.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
So close, but yet so far.
Powered by NairaBet.
It's come out of nowhere, really.
The Premier League, La Liga, the Bundesliga, Serie A, the Saudi Pro League.
There's action everywhere you look.
Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
I want more goals.
It's a show that's packed to the brim.
It's madness, it's chaotic.
Superb finish.
Okay guys, welcome to the weekly Football Live production meeting. I've got a great idea. We go out and we ask all the top football managers what they think of the show. Let's do this.
Jurgen Klopp, are you a fan of Football Live?
It's super. It's just super. It's really a top.
Mikel Arteta, how good is Football Live?
I've been really impressed.
Pep, Football Live love you, but do you love Football Live?
They are unique and I enjoy a lot.
Sean Dyche, do you listen to Football Live, the greatest football show on earth?
What you're talking about now. They know and I know, and you probably do know, they've made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Okay, so we need to work on Sean Dyche.
You are listening to Football Live.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairoBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
The goals, powered by NairoBet.
And I can tell you that Brighton and Hove Albion have wasted no time in getting back level at Goodison Park against Everton. Everton won, Brighton and Hove Albion won. Lewis Dunk with the goal in that game. We'll be across to hear all about that equaliser for Brighton in just a few moments' time with Duka Duma, who's certainly been in amongst the goals in the early stages of the game. In that game, no goals so far in the Manchester City against Bournemouth game. Let's head to Pat Norett and catch up with the latest. The champions Manchester City, they've won every single home game, all 6 of them against Bournemouth in the past. But so far, they've not made the breakthrough, have they, Pat?
No, not yet, but they're getting closer. Just had a corner before you came to me, taking the right-hand side, which is Bournemouth's left. It was a well-worked corner, training ground stuff, edge of the box. Silva just hit it wide, just went an inch over the bar. But that's the nearest they've come so far. With 15 goals, it's still Manchester City 0, Bournemouth 0.
Cheers for that, Pat. Let's go to Matt Keishel, where you can tell us all about the early exchanges between Burnley and Crystal Palace. Just a quick look back in history. The last time these two met at Turf Moor was back in 2021. It finished 3-3. We're not expecting a goal fest, Matt, but it has happened in the past. Any early chances for either side?
Well, I'd absolutely love that 3-0, Barry, but I would be lying if I said it looked likely at the moment. As I said, nothing really in terms of goal-mouth action since that early Burnley header. Crystal Palace have been quiet, to be honest with you. I think without the likes of Eze and Elise, they really lack the creativity in this side. They've got Edouard up top. It's just a matter of if they can get the ball into him enough during the game. So that's got to be the name of the game for Palace, and they're going to have to hope that Eze's got about 45 minutes in him at this rate, because they haven't really created much as of yet. It's been all Burnley so far, but yet to really test Sam Johnson in the Crystal Palace goal. 13 minutes gone, Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 0.
Thank you very much, Matt. I can tell you that VIR are having a long old look at that goal, and it's been disallowed. Brighton's goal at Everton has been disallowed by VAR. Let's get across to Goodison. Duka Duma, he's had a long look at that goal himself. Was that the right decision?
Oh, I don't know, Barry. I mean, it's offside, so it is or it isn't. You know, I mean, it's not subjective, but I'm looking at sort of the replay now, and I don't really know what part of Lewis Dunk's body is offside there, because it's a fantastic goal. The real striker's finish from the centre half. The free kicks come in from Pascal Gross, and Lewis Dunk has hit it on the volley off the crossbar, and in it goes. And I just don't think that's offside. I think this is another VAR decision that's gone wrong, Barry. As it stands, it's Everton 1, Brighton 0.
Thank you very much. In the Championship, Wayne Rooney's Birmingham have lost every single game since he's taken charge. But it's Birmingham City 1, high-flying Ipswich Town 0. Jay Stansfield on loan from Fulham with the goal. I can tell you there has also been a goal in the Premier League.
The goals, powered by NairoBet.
And it's come at the G-Tech Community Stadium. An equaliser for West Ham United. We've just had an equaliser for Brighton chalked out. Hopefully for West Ham fans, there is no such controversy. They have equalised for Kudos, who's in great form. Saw him play international football just a couple of weeks ago, and he's a great player, great signing for West Ham United, and he has gone and got an equalising goal there. Brentford 1, West Ham United 1. We'll be across to Johnny Holmes to hear all about that goal very, very shortly. In fact, why waste any time? Let's get across there now, shall we? Johnny, you've had plenty of goals in the opening 20 minutes, and West Ham level, deservedly?
Deservedly level, Barry. I would absolutely say so. West Ham have been the better side, and it was a bit of a shock when Mopé gave Brentford the lead. But what a goal this is from Kudos. It's a fantastic acrobatic finish. The cross comes in from the left. He has to completely readjust his body as the ball is slightly behind him. He does get power behind it though. He's mid-air and he slams it into the back of the net. That's a fantastic goal. It's one for the highlight reel, and West Ham have been the better side. They deserve to be level. Brentford 1, West Ham 1. 18 minutes played here.
Thank you very much for that update from the G-Tech Community Stadium. Johnny Holmes there, 2 goals for him already. I can tell you we're midway through, more or less, the second half in Italy. Salernitana 0, Napoli 1. Raspadori with a goal after 13 minutes. That's how it was at half-time. That's how it is now in that game in Spain. Betis 0, Mallorca 0. They've just got underway in that game. Full avalanche of fixtures in the Bundesliga, and we'll be turning our attention to the big one later, the Der Klassiker, as Dortmund take on Bayern Munich. Really looking forward to this one. Rubbing my hands together for what should be a cracking game. And of course, Bayern losing in midweek against third-tier opposition in the Cup, which didn't go down well. Thomas Tuchel under a little bit of pressure from that result alone. It's currently Köln 1, Augsburg 1, Union Berlin 2-0 down to Frankfurt. 2 early first half goals there. These are half times, by the way. Mainz 0, Leipzig 0, Freiburg 1, Mönchengladbach 3, and Hoffenheim are trailing by 2 goals to nil at half time against high-flying Leverkusen. Goals there from Florian Wirtz and Alejandro Grimaldo, giving the visitors a good cushion for half-time in the Bundesliga. We'll keep a close eye on the goals as they go in. Full times from earlier, just to recap: Fulham 0, Manchester United 1. Bruno Fernandes with a goal a minute into second half stoppage time, and Ross County down to 10 men before Celtic went on the rampage and scored 3 without reply in the game up in Scotland. Let's head around the grounds, shall we? Where haven't we been for a while? Well, the answer to that is probably Kane Weir's Sheffield United against Wolves. Kane watching Sheffield United, who have only picked up 1 point from their opening 10 games. This is the 105th meeting, by the way, between these two clubs. It goes way, way back, this fixture. 0-0 last time we were there. Kane, any sign of a goal at Bramall Lane?
Wolves should be in front so far, and it's coming down the right-hand side again, where Semedo and Hwang are combining so well against Luke Thomas and Jack Robinson on that left-hand side for Sheffield United. And there's been a couple of chances so far where Semedo's just picked the ball up in his own half, driving forwards towards Jack Robinson, and just played a little 1-2 to get in behind of Jack Robinson with Jan, and gets his shot away, and it's saved well by Wes Foderingham. Again, another opportunity where it starts from Aiton Nori on the left-hand side, goes into Lamina, who switches it out to Chan again, with Semedo getting around the outside. He sets the ball back in with Tommy Doyle on the edge of the box, but he fires the ball over the top. Still, Sheffield United 0, Wolves 0.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
I can tell you there's been a goal in the game at Turf Moor. Burnley are already 0-0-5 after 5 league games in the Premier League. They've lost all 5. They've picked up all 4 of their points so far away from home. And Jeff Schlupp has given Crystal Palace the lead in that game. So it's Burnley 0, Sheffield United 1. And to tell us all about that goal, here's Matt Key.
Yes, that's right, Barry. Deadlock broken here at Turf Moor, and it's disaster for the home team. And despite controlling this first 20 minutes, Burnley find themselves behind, and that is what happens when you're at the wrong end of the table. It's an awful mistake from Jordan Bayer at the back. He's come into the team today. He's slipped on the ball. Jordan Ayew pounces. He pounces on the mistake, carries the ball into the box, and puts it on a plate for Jeffrey Schlupp. He finishes from about 5 yards out, strokes it home, was never going to miss for there, and Turf Moor is silenced. Only the joyous Crystal Palace fans at the opposite end to where the goal was scored can be heard at the moment. 23 minutes gone, deadlock broken. It's Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Thank you very much for that, Matt. Let's head off to the Etihad, shall we? Pat Norat has all eyes on Manchester City against Bournemouth, and so far, Bournemouth's game plan, Pat, seems to be working.
Yeah, their game plan is quite well. They're filling in the midfield, but I tell you what, City are moving that ball around. They've been a little bit faster now. They got the ball to the right-hand side. Alvarez put in a wonderful cross, and I tell you, and Haaland jumped, and it was going for goal, and the keeper got to it and went out for a corner. Wonderful cross, wonderful header, wonderful save, but 24 gone. Still, Man City 0, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you very much, Pat. He had to do the sums there, didn't he? Had to add it all up. Still 0-0 between Manchester City and Bournemouth at the Etihad Stadium. Between those two, Manchester City, the champions, Bournemouth struggling down at the bottom. But got their first win last week, didn't they, against Burnley at home. They've won all 6 Premier League meetings at the Etihad against Bournemouth, scoring 4+ goals in 4 of those 6 games. Manchester City, we were expecting them to run riot, but so far they've found themselves up against a very stubborn and resilient Bournemouth. So Bournemouth holding Manchester City, coming up to the half-hour mark, 0-0 at the Etihad. Everton won, Brighton 0. Brighton having a goal disallowed by VAR. Burnley behind again against Crystal Palace. Brentford and West Ham are 1-1. And in the early kick-off today, it's Fulham 0, Manchester United 1. The game that hasn't got a goal is Sheffield United against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And let's head back to Kane, shall we? Kane, it's been a tough week, as always a tough week, isn't it, for Paul Heckingbottom?
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
There you go, Paul Heckingbottom and a goal jingle in the same sentence. My apologies. I can tell you that West Ham United are 2-1 ahead at Brentford. They've come from behind. Jared Bowen with the goal in that game. So 2-1 to West Ham. Will be quite quickly along to hear about that one in just a second. Let's go to Kane Weir, shall we? We said we were going to, so we're going to go up to Yorkshire. Sheffield United against Wolves at Bramall Lane. Kane Weirs, any sign of you finding the goal to give us a full house of goals in all the Premier League games? No, we seem to have lost Kane now. Tell you what, let's head from Yorkshire to West London. Let's join up with Johnny Holmes, who can tell us all about the third goal in that game. Jared Bowen scoring, West Ham leading. Johnny.
Jared Bowen getting the goal, but it could so easily have been 2 for Kudus because it cannons off his leg, Kudus there, against the post, and Bowen's there to sweep it into the back of the net from the tight angle. In it goes. West Ham fully deserve their lead. It is Brentford 1, West Ham United 2, 26 minutes played here.
Thank you very much for that. Let's go back to Kane Weirs. We had a technical problem, something there, but we seem to have ironed it all out. Kane Weirs, Sheffield United Wolves. Has he come anywhere near to finding a goal and giving us a full house of goals in all our Premier League games this afternoon? Let's cross to Kane.
Yeah, if anyone's going to be getting the goal of the day, it's going to be Wolves. And again, it's coming down that right-hand side with Semenyo, Shan, and then Cunha, who looks like he's going straight in as another centre-forward when Wolves have the ball. And just some great little play again. Just a little 1-2 with Chance, Semenyo, and Cunha again. And Cunha gets him behind, gets a shot played. It's well saved by Fodringham. The worry for this is that whenever Sheffield United are getting out of their own half in the transitions to lose the ball, Wolves are looking to punish them, but they just don't have that edge in the final third. But still, Sheffield United 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0.
Thank you very much for that. Sheffield United 0, Wolves 0. Kane Weirs watching that game at Bramall Lane. Let's use this moment to bring you bang up to date with the games in the Championship. What a trek this is, by the way. Middlesbrough travelled to Exeter in the League Cup in midweek. What a journey. They sold out their allocation of tickets, by the way. They've done so again today for a league trip to Plymouth, and they lead by 1-0. Michael Carrick's side ahead, thanks to a goal from Joe Coburn in that game down at Home Park. So worth the journey money, I'm sure you'll agree. And yeah, it's a long old journey. If you're a Middlesbrough fan, you've certainly been on the road quite a lot in the past week or so. We spoke earlier about Spain, La Liga, Girona, the surprise package so far this season. They are top of the table after a 4-2 win away at Osasuna. There's a VAR check going on in the game between, Johnny Holmes is watching the game between Brentford and West Ham. There's a VAR check going on in that. We'll check in with him. And in fact, let's see if we can get back to Johnny. And I think the goal has finally been rubber stamped, Johnny, and they can celebrate at long last.
At long last they can. It has been given. There was a question about whether Jared Bowen used his arm to control the ball as it cannoned off the post and back to him. It looked like maybe the first touch is definitely with his chest. Maybe does sort of dribble over onto the arm, but the referee decided it was in a natural position. The goal has been given and West Ham do lead. Brentford 1, West Ham 2, 29 minutes played.
Thank you very much for that, Johnny. Plenty of goals in that game, isn't there? And finally, I can tell you we can bring you a goal from the Etihad.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's a goal for Doku. And finally, Manchester City make the breakthrough in the game at home to Bournemouth. They always beat Bournemouth at home. We were expecting it. We always felt it was going to be when, not if. I can tell you Doku has scored. Manchester City won. Bournemouth 0. Pat Narrett can tell us all about that goal in a while, I'm sure. FA Cup day today. Gateshead have made an even longer trip than Middlesbrough from the northeast to Yeovil. They'll probably want to turn around and go back home right now. They're 2-0 down in that game. Just quickly glancing through the scores where non-league are beating Football League. Forest Green down here towards the bottom of EFL League 2 are losing at Scarborough Athletic by 1-0. That could be a potential shock on the cards there. No shock at Bristol Rovers. They sacked their manager earlier this week, but they're 3-1 up against Whitby Town in the game being played at the Memorial Stadium this afternoon. Let's head back to Johnny Holmes at the GTEC Community Centre. Stadium, I always call it a community centre. It's a little bit bigger than a community centre. It's a community stadium. It's in West London. 3 goals so far, Johnny Holmes. And, you wouldn't believe it, he nearly had another one. A big chance for Brentford.
A big chance indeed for Brentford, who really need to find some life in this game. It's been all West Ham since the Brentford goal, and finally they look to have woken up as Matthias Jensen is sent down the left-hand side, has a chance to either fizz across or take a quick snapshot. He goes for the latter, but can only find the side netting. To be fair to him, it was a tight angle. Brentford are going to need to try and find something in this game because they are behind. It's Brentford 1, West Ham United 2, 31 minutes played here.
Thank you very much. Let's head back to the Etihad. Last time they were there, it was goalless and Bournemouth are hanging on grimly. In fact, before we go back there, let me tell you about another Premier League goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
I'm not going to go back to our good friend Pat Narrat, who's watching Manchester City against Bournemouth. Doku had given Manchester City the lead. I can tell you, Bernardo Silva, what a great player he's turned out to be for Manchester City over the last year or so. He has just scored a second goal 3 minutes after Doku had given them the lead. It's now Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 0, and suddenly from 0-0 to 2-0, it looks like game over. The champions have moved up a gear and are sweeping their visitors aside. We'll be back to Pat to hear about those goals in just a moment or two. Let's head around the grounds, by the way, in the Championship. Sheffield Wednesday are rock bottom. By the way, Sheffield United, bottom of the Premier League. Sheffield Wednesday, bottom of the Championship. There are three teams in Sheffield, by the way. Down in the 7th tier, Sheffield FC, the oldest club in the world. By the way, they're bottom of their league as well and haven't won a game yet. So the world of football in Sheffield is having a torrid old season. This afternoon, Sheffield United in Championship action. They're 0-0 away at managerless Bristol City, but their midfield maestro Barry Bannon has been sent off. Straight red card in that game. Pat Norrett he's ready. He's going to tell us not about one goal, but about two goals. And Manchester City have got them both.
Yes, happens very quickly, doesn't it? The first one, obviously, on the 30th minute by Doku. He actually played the ball inside to Rodri. Rodri gave it back to him. He curled it in the bottom right-hand corner. The goalkeeper's a great goal, that one. And then, like you said, 3 minutes afterwards, on 33, it was again, this time, Doku coming inside, giving the ball to Bernardo Silva, who puts it away, beats the keeper. Wonderful goal. It's with 34 gone, it's City 2, Bournemouth 0. As you say, I think game over.
Thank you very much.
Who wants a free bet? NairaBet has you covered. Newcastle take on Arsenal. We are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 1,000 Naira. Whether you back the Magpies or the Gunners, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log into www.nairabet.com, bet on Newcastle versus Arsenal, receive a free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match markets or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Football Live is back on Brila FM tomorrow afternoon from 3:10 with Dean Kilford. Two fantastic matches in the Premier League. A Midlands derby at the City Ground where Nottingham Forest take on Aston Villa. And in a 5:30 kick-off at Kenilworth Road, it's Luton Town against Liverpool. We'll also dip into La Liga in Spain, where Valencia take on Granada, and Heidenheim against Stuttgart is our featured game in the German Bundesliga. An action-packed show lined up for you tomorrow afternoon on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM.
Sports Radio, 88.9 Brila FM.
Oh my word, what is going on here?
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
I don't know how to describe it anymore.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
So close, but yet so far.
Powered by NairaBet.
It's come out of nowhere, really.
The Premier League, La Liga, the Bundesliga, Serie A, the Saudi Pro League.
There's action everywhere you look.
Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
I want more goals. It's a show that's packed to the brim. This is madness. It's chaotic. Superb finish.
Okay guys, welcome to the weekly Football Live production meeting. I've got a great idea. We go out and we ask all the top football managers what they think of the show. Let's do this.
Jurgen Klopp, are you a fan of Football Live?
It's super. It's just super. It's really a top.
Mikel Arteta, how good is Football Live?
I've been really impressed.
Pep, Football Live love you, but do you love Football Live?
They are unique and I enjoy a lot.
Sean Dyche, do you listen to Football Live, the greatest football show on earth?
What you're talking about now. They know and I know, and you probably do know, they've made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Okay, so we need to work on Sean Dyche.
You are listening to Football Live.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live. with Barry Swain.
The goals, powered by NairoBet.
Well, I can tell you, it's now Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 0. And, well, Pat Narrett said that's pretty much game over. It is now 3-0. We'll be back to Pat to hear all about that. Napoli have gone 2-0 up. They're coasting in Italy against Salernitana this afternoon, an away win there. Middlesbrough have been pegged back as well by Plymouth Argyle. That long journey seems to have caught up on them. Barley Mumba, the fullback for Plymouth, with the former Norwich and Sunderland man, with the equaliser in the game at Home Park. 2 goals for Carl Wootton as the League 2 leaders, Stockport lead non-league Worksop 2-1 in the FA Cup. And yeah, let's get around the ground, shall we? We'll go to Pat in just a second to hear about that goal. First of all, let's head back. We haven't been to Goodison Park for a while. Let's check out Durka Dodma. He's watching Everton against Brighton, and he can bring us bang up to date with the happenings so far.
Well, not a lot's really happened here, Barry. It's Everton are exactly how you'd imagine a Sean Dyche team to set up. They're very compact, brilliantly defensively. Brighton have kept most of the ball, but not really done a whole lot with it. So, yeah, Everton sticking to their game plan really well at the minute. As it stands, Everton 1, Brighton 0.
Let's head off to the Etihad. 3 goals for Manchester City, and they are running riot. Pat, tell us about the third.
Yeah, you're correct. They are running riot. Since they scored a second goal, it's been all City, and all City going down the right-hand side. This one's quite weird because they've had about 4 corners on the right-hand side. Tried the same move before Doku scored his goal. Same move. Bernardo Silva got the ball. He pretended to go wide, didn't go wide. Pulled the ball back in the centre of the penalty area, and Doku just turned up and shot, and it's a goal. So wonderful goal. So on 37 minutes, a wonderful goal. It's 40 gone with Manchester City 3. Bournemouth 0.
We wasn't expecting anything less. 3-0 to Manchester City before half-time. Half-time fast approaching 7 minutes. It's taken them to score 3 goals. Doku and then Bernardo Silva and Akanji. And I can tell you, Azaz has scored a second goal for Plymouth in the Championship. Plymouth 2, Middlesbrough 1 is a scoreline. Wayne Rooney's Birmingham leading Ipswich 1-0. Jay Stansfeld with the goal. Let's quickly recap what's happening in the Premier League. Brentford 1, West Ham 2, Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 1. But that's where the away day success ends. Sheffield United 0, Wolves 0. Manchester City, as we just heard, 3-0 up on Bournemouth, and Everton 1-0 up at home to Brighton. Big chance in that game that we just mentioned, Brentford against West Ham United, for West Ham United. Let's cross to Johnny Holmes and hear all about it.
Well, West Ham have been the better side here, and they lead 2-1, but it's on the break for West Ham here. And how have they not gone 3-1 up at the back post? Antonio, kudos, what a game he's having. Surging forward, he feeds it to Bowen, and it's a perfect ball across by Bowen. It's a teaser, go on, someone tap it into the back of the net. Oh, and there's Antonio. Oh, and he somehow put it wide. He didn't get the right connection. He put it into the side netting, and he will regret that one. It really should be 3-1, but as it stands, Brentford 1, West Ham United 2. 41 minutes played here.
Johnny, while you're there, actually, I just wanted to talk about Kudus, Mohamed Kudus. I saw him play for Ghana just a couple of weeks ago in an international friendly away at the USA. He's one that catches the eye. I've been impressed with him for West Ham United. He's really growing into the Premier League, isn't he?
Absolutely. Well, it's a man of the match performance so far. Definitely man of the half. He's been the real threat, the real outlet for West Ham, surging forward with pace. There was a moment that just summed it up for me. He got a ball over the top and he chests it down, but as the defender is rushing in, he uses the ball and his body to shield himself from the defender and turn his man, and he's away. Brilliant strength, pace, poise and power from Kudus. And as you say, Barry, he looks a real talent.
Yes, indeed he does. And West Ham United leading by 2 goals to 1. It was a horrible week last week, wasn't it? 2 defeats for West Ham United. But it bounced back in midweek with a 3-1 win against Arsenal, knocking them out of the Carabao Cup. And then they've done the draw for the quarter-finals. And poor old West Ham got drawn. The toughest of the draws, potentially, really, away at Liverpool in the quarter-final. Chelsea against Newcastle United is another tasty one in the quarter-final draw. League One Port Vale taking on Championship Middlesbrough, and then there's Everton against Fulham. So in theory, 4 of the biggest teams left in that competition being drawn against each other in the draw that was made on Wednesday evening. Quick reminder, we've got 2 absolutely thrilling games later on. Newcastle United against Arsenal. Can't wait for this one. And then alongside it, we're going to run with the big game in Germany, Der Klassiker. They don't come any bigger than that. One of the big games around Europe, and it's going to be from Signal Iduna Park. Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich, the big one, the first Der Klassiker for Harry Kane. That kicks off 6:30 WAT time. Can't wait for those 2 games later on. We've still got 45 minutes plus a little bit of the first half to go in our games in the Premier League this afternoon. The goals have dried up. We haven't had a goal for a couple of minutes. It's been a busy first half, and well, we're still waiting for that first goal between Sheffield United and Wolves. So let's check in to the unluckiest man amongst our team of reporters this afternoon, Kane Wears. Kane, we're trying to get you a goal. We're urging a goal. Sheffield United usually concede, but so far they haven't.
Yeah, and they really should have, especially so far in the game and the chances they've had. And Wolves really should be 1-0 up. There's a great ball in terms of from Curtis Dawson at the back, who just plays a diag into Cunha. Cunha gets 1v1 with the goalkeeper, and instead of just putting it past Wes Foderingham, he slides it to Kolasinac, who has an open goal and somehow hits it wide. So Wolves are getting loads and loads of chances. Sheffield United are really, really struggling to control the transition today. And I think Sheffield United are thinking, do we put people forwards or do we just sit in and try and hold off Wolves and take a point? But yeah, 44 minutes played. It's Sheffield United 0, Wolves 0.
Kane, while you're on, I'm fearful for Sheffield United. I really am, and I like what their manager has done, Paul Heckingbottom. And he's lost his 2 best players in the summer, and he's had his hands tied, really, hasn't he? And it's not been a good start to the season. I do fear that they're going to go down with a record low number of points unless they turn it around very quickly.
Yeah, do you know what? I think you can't fault in terms of the work rate. We're watching them here and they're pressing and they're working hard, but they probably do need a little bit of support from the manager on this as well, because actually things like controlling the transitions, leaving themselves open, the gaps between the units are too big. So hopefully Heckingbottom shores this up. They get on the ball and stop playing so direct and just try and manage their way into the game a bit more and give them some chances against a team that's got loads of pace and power. But yeah, you're really struggling. I think I've watched Sheffield United a few times this season, and you're trying to think of where they're going to pick up the first win, but yeah, it's not looking good at the minute.
Thank you very much for that, Kane. Let's head back to the Etihad, shall we? Injury to a Bournemouth player, as if things couldn't get any worse. They've conceded 3 goals in 7 minutes. We're into 4 minutes of stoppage time, Pat Norrett, and an injured Bournemouth player.
Yeah, he's sort of like, I can see him going away in tears. Actually, he has been injured. His Alex Scott had to come off, and the manager's brought on Joe Rothwell. Alex Scott's been doing well quite in midfield. I think he came up with a bad injury, but you can see the tears in his eyes saying, thinking it's probably a bad one. But City dominating that game over, I think we're 3-0. It's 46 gone, City 3, Bournemouth 0 with about 2 minutes left to play.
Thank you very much, Pat. We're heading into injury time in our matches that we're featuring this afternoon. 5 of them, 3 o'clock kickoffs UK time, 4 o'clock kickoffs WAT time. And there's been goals in all but one of them. Sheffield United 0, Wolves 0. Plenty to talk about for you guys during half-time, when we'll be heading back to the Brila FM studios and FJ. He'll be taking your calls and your social media posts. I'd love to hear from you, especially about Manchester United this week. What a week it's been for them. 3-0 and 3-0, 2 home defeats. They did win today, maybe rode their luck a little bit. The takeover looks as if it's back on a partial takeover, it seems. We're waiting to see on that one, but yeah, it's all to talk about when we hand back to FJ in about 5 minutes time or so. We'll be going back. I can tell you the half-time whistles are blowing. Let's head to Matt Key, who's watching Burnley against Crystal Palace. 5 home defeats from 5 for Burnley, and they're behind again, Matt.
Yeah, the worst home record in the Premier League, and it's not getting any better for Burnley. You can tell not much has happened in this one because there was only 1 minute added on at the end of the half, which is very unusual in today's era of Premier League games. And Burnley still trail to that Jeffrey Schlupp goal. Mistake from Bayer at the back is what cost them, and it allowed Jordan Ayew to set up Schlupp, and that has given us the only goal of the game so far. And the bad news for Burnley, you would say, is that they've not had a shot on target as of yet. Just 2 attempts in the entire game. As I say, none on target. And Vincent Kompany, you feel like he's got to work some magic here and outdo his much older counterpart in Roy Hodgson if his side are going to get anything out of this game. It's half-time at Turf Moor, and it is Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Matt, just stay with me there. I've just seen some pictures on the pitch. I think it's Mark Gahey. Seems to have had an altercation. Not sure if it's one of his teammates. I'm not sure if you saw anything there, but certainly didn't look a very happy man as he was coming off at half-time. Is there anything you saw there?
No, it's a bit of a weird one. As the players have gone off there, Barry, they're going off half-time. Gahey's gone and had a word with the referee, as has Joel Ward, and it's gone from what looked like a fairly friendly altercation to a bit of a heated one. Gahey's just been booked. It's difficult to see from up here what has exactly caused that. It's been a pretty calm game, you'd have to say, in terms of fouls and stuff like that. Been physical, you'd say, but nothing that you thought has sort of warranted a negative reaction from any of the players, really. And that's been our first booking, and Gay's really had to be wrestled away by his teammate Anderson as the teams have gone round the tunnel. Bit of a weird one. I'll see if I have an update for you at the start of the second half.
Cheers very much, Matt. Thought I might put you on the spot there in case you didn't see it, but obviously you have saw it. I just caught it in the corner of my eye. He didn't look a very happy man, Mark Gahey. And, well, let's get round those grounds to half-time. Those half-time whistles are blowing. It's blown at the Etihad. It might as well be the full-time whistle because this game is over, isn't it, Pat Norret?
Yeah, I think so. Game definitely over. I mean, City got 3 goals in 7 minutes. The first one to come in the 30th minute, whereby Docky Worker 1-2 with Rodri edge of the box, 1-0. And then another 3 minutes later, Docky repaid the favour to Silva on the right-hand side. Now, Docky was on the left-hand side. For some reason, he ended up on the right, gave the ball to Silva. Silva slotted it home. And then another 3 minutes after that, Doku then managed to worm his way inside. He comes off the left, comes inside, take a shot, and the shot is Akanji. And I thought Doku scored a goal, but no, what happened was a slight touch on Akanji, 3-0. So at the break, it's Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 0. To think about that one.
You had to add that all up there. You had to add up 0-0. Thank you very much, Pat. We'll let you go and get some liquid refreshment and patch a slice of cake as well. And you'll be ready for some more goals, I've no doubt, in the second half. Now, goals have been going in at Goodison Park. Duka Dubma told us about an early one for Everton. Brighton struck back, but VAR intervened. Everton leading at half-time, Duka.
Yeah, Everton leading at half-time, very much deserved as well. This game burst into life with Everton scoring in the opening 10 minutes through Mikalenko, the left-back, an unlikely goal scorer. And then Brighton, just moments later, Lewis Dunk must have thought he scored the best goal he's ever scored in his career. But no, it was ruled out by VAR. Another VAR controversial decision, I must say. I don't think he was offside, but, you know, that's what VAR's here for, isn't it? To call those decisions. But yeah, Everton controlling the game throughout. Brighton having the majority of possession, but it's been Everton have controlled it. They've sat back, they've defended really well, and Brighton aren't offering anything going forward. But as it stands at half-time, Everton 1, Brighton 0.
Thank you very much for that, Duka. That leaves just one game, and I can tell you the half-time whistle has just this very second blown in the London derby. West London are trailing to East London at half-time. Let's head to Johnny Holmes, who can tell us all about what sounds like a very good first half from the G-Tech.
Absolutely, a thrilling game so far. and West Ham United lead it. The away side have got 2 goals. Brentford have got 1 goal. But Brentford just recently, at the end of that second half, starting to come into the game, and Mbeumo having a couple of flash shots from range, including one really well-worked free kick. And then right at the end of the half, he really should have scored. The ball comes in from the left-hand side, and he smashes it low and hard, but it's wide. And I tell you what, the look in his face as the ball came across from Jenelt, and as he put it wide there, Mbeumo, he knew that was a big chance, and Brentford should be level at the break. They're not. As things are, Brentford 1, West Ham United 2, half-time here.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that to all of our reporters, Johnny Holmes, Duka Dubma, Matt Key, Kane Weirs and Pat Norett at half-time in all 5 of our Premier League games. We're going to take a deep breath now. We're going to hand you back to FJ and the team at Brila FM to take your calls, to listen to your social media outbursts. What have you got to say for yourselves? Well, we're looking forward to hearing from you. It's over to FJ.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Welcome back. FJ was just asking me a question. What have Bournemouth never done against Manchester City? Scratching my head, 1 or 2 people in the studio here have been saying, is it score a goal? Well, let me tell you, it most certainly is not that.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Oh, my producer's trying to wind me up here. Bournemouth have scored. It's 3-1. It's been disallowed. So it might well be that they've never scored at the Etihad, but they have scored 1 goal, I believe. Let me tell you a story, actually. I can delve a little bit deeper than even FJ. I can go back further in time. That's the age of the train, that with me. I'm such an oldie. I can take you back to the 1980s. 1989, no doubt. And I can tell you, back then, it was a case of Bournemouth going to Manchester City in the old 2nd division. Half time, Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 0. It finished Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 3. Harry Redknapp was in charge of Bournemouth back then. What are the chances of that happening? Well, they've gone and got 1 back, but it's been disallowed. Well, poor old Bournemouth. Never mind. Anyway, let's get around the grounds, shall we? And Pat Norett can tell us all about the goal that wasn't a goal at the Etihad.
Yeah, we're all getting excited. That what it was, a ball was played down the wing on the right-hand side, and they were crossed in, and he was Solanke, he was offside. His whole leg was offside. You know, he didn't involve for that. So basically, it's still, with 46 gone, Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 0.
Just reading the statement coming out that we mentioned earlier, breaking news. Emma Hayes will be leaving Chelsea as the women's manager at the end of the season. She will be pursuing new opportunities outside the WSL and club management, is the statement. So maybe an international job, who knows? Ready and waiting to answer that question. I haven't got a clue, to be honest, FJ, is the answer. But it might well have been scoring at the Etihad, and it might still be. But I thought they did score 1 when I'd done my research. I might be wrong. I'm looking forward to hearing the answer. Jacob Collock is going to be joining us in a little while for a big match in Italy. Atalanta against Inter Milan. We haven't just got the big game in Germany and the game between Newcastle and Arsenal. We've also got Atalanta against Inter. Let's head off, in fact, now and catch up with Jacob Collock. He can give us exclusive team news from Atalanta against Inter.
Yes, indeed, Barry. Thank you very much. Yes, Atalanta are hosting Inter today in a clash between 2 of the best defences in Italy. Both teams have 7 clean sheets out of their opening 10 games. But Atalanta will have to be at their very best to get anything out of this one. They haven't won against Inter in any of their last 9 league games, losing 5 and drawing the other 4. Both teams are fielding strong starting 11s ahead of midweek European games. Atalanta have named 1 change from their 3-0 win against Empoli, with Davide Zappacosta returning from injury, replacing Hans Ataboa. Gianluca Scamacca and Ademola Lookman start up front for the Bergamo side, with Teun Koopmeiners in behind. Inter have also named 1 change from their league win over Roma, as Steven de Vrij comes in for Alessandro Bastoni, who drops to the bench. The league's top goal scorer, Lautaro Martinez, starts alongside the league's top assister, Marcus Thuram, ahead of a league-leading defence that has conceded only 5 goals in the league so far this season. Only Nice in France's Ligue 1 have conceded less. This game could honestly go either way. Cagey, defensive, whole host of goals, but we'll find out in about an hour. So back to you.
Looking forward to that one, Jacob. Thank you very much for all that team news. Jacob will be keeping a very, very close eye on the game between Atalanta and Inter Milan. It kicks off in around about 45-50 minutes' time. Now, Burnley have not got a good home record, but let's cross to Turf Moor. Matt Key, an early chance in the second half for the Clarets.
Yes, it's been much better from Vincent's company's side. They've obviously got the hairdryer treatment out at half-time because the first 5 minutes they've been so much better and offered so much more than they did of the entire first half, and they had their first shot on target through Jay Rodriguez. Nice bit of intricate build-up play, which is something we didn't see in the first half, and Jay Rodriguez got the ball just inside the box, shifted it out with his feet and shot through the legs of Anderson, but it was easily held for Sam Johnson. But the Turf Moor crowd liked that. They'll be hoping for a bit more of that. Otherwise, Vincent Company may be forced to turn to his bench pretty quickly. 5 minutes gone in this second half. Still Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Well, if you think Burnley have got it bad, Sheffield United have had it even worse. But whatever Paul Heckingbottom said at half-time appears, Kane Wears, to be working, because Sheffield United have come out all guns blazing in the early stages of the second half.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Barry. In terms of Sheffield United coming out in this second half, they look really, really strong, and they've had 4 massive chances. The first one comes from Wolves' own mistakes, where Jose Sarr in goal looks to play a stupid goal kick, to be honest. Just clips it in, and Hamer collects the ball and just plays a lovely through ball into Archer, who just plays a shot just wide of the post. And another one, McAtee, who came on just before half-time for Ryan Brewster, just goes for a run down the right-hand side, just cuts in past Gomez and fires another shot wide. And then another opportunity, it's a free kick on the edge of the box from Ollie Norwood, bends it and it just goes wide again. So whatever, as you say, Paul Heckingbottom said at half-time, it seems to be working, but it's still Sheffield United 0, Wolves 0.
Thank you very much. Still waiting for that first goal with Kane Wears and Sheffield United against Wolves. Let me tell you a couple of scorelines from the early stages of the second half. Football League, Swindon Town 0, non-league Aldershot 5 in the FA Cup. Can't remember the last time a non-league side went to a Football League side and we're leading 5-0 away from home. Big game in the Championship, 2 teams down in the bottom 3, and Queen's Park Rangers, who sacked their manager last week, are 1-0 up away at Rotherham United. Elias Chair with the goal early in the second half. Birmingham under Wayne Rooney 2-0 up now on Ipswich at Cameron Burgess. Own goal in that game. Now, earlier on in the lunchtime kickoff in the Premier League, a late goal from Bruno Fernandes gave Manchester United the lead. It was enough. They won it 1-0 away at Fulham. Here is Erik ten Hag, a man under pressure, talking about his manager. And he was full of praise as well.
Clear. We scored in the beginning and we scored in the end. But if you score in the end, away from home, it's always the best moment if you make the other difference, because for the opponent is then almost no time to get back.
And a massive goal from your captain, Bruno Fernandes. He stepped up in the Burnley game as well, which followed a defeat against Bayern Munich. What do you say to those people who have questioned whether he should be Manchester United captain?
I don't understand it, because so everyone have his mistakes and no one is perfect, but he's doing a lot of things very good. And he showed every time as a captain he's an example. He's, as you see today, how he's working, how he's pressing. And then in the end he's scoring a goal, and so he's massive important for us.
So that was Erik ten Hag, certainly sticking up for his captain, wasn't he? Who scored the winner late on as Fulham lost at home to Manchester United in the early kick-off today. I can tell you, non-league Aldershot now 6-0 up away at Swindon Town, who this week offered a contract extension to their manager Michael Flynn. Well, that probably wasn't such a good idea, was it? 6-0 down at home to a non-league club, Swindon Town, this afternoon. I can't imagine that's going down too well at the county ground. Right, let's get around the grounds, shall we? Where should we start? Well, we've already heard from Pat. We've already heard from Duka, and we've already heard from Kane. So let's go, or Matt as well. So let's go with Johnny Holmes. We haven't heard from him. He's had more goals than anyone else. How is that London derby shaping up, Johnny? West Ham leading 2-1 at half time. What's the early stages of the second half been like?
Yeah, I've been very lucky in this one so far, and this second half is shaping up to be a very interesting one as well, because Brentford, the home side and the side that trail this game at the moment, have come out in the second half playing a lot better and have looked to take control of this match, and West Ham really have been resigned to trying to hit them on the break so far. Couple of early flashes, including one from Mbuemo as well as Jensen, and interestingly, a substitution in goal for Brentford. Flecken, who'd been stretching around, maybe feeling his knee in the first half, well, he has been replaced, and Strakosha comes on in goal for Brentford, who are on the front foot here. Can they get an equaliser? It's Brentford 1, West Ham United 2, 53 minutes played.
Excellent. We're just trying to find out what's happening in the game between Sheffield United and Wolves, and betting is suspended there. We'll try and get you some latest odds with Narabet very shortly. In fact, let's go to that game between Sheffield United and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Just coming up to the hour mark. Still waiting for the first goal in this game, Kane Wears, but something's happening. We think it's a free kick just outside the box.
Yeah, just outside of the box, Barry, and it's a stupid foul, to be honest. It's Jane Hogel's just bursting through to get 1v1 with the goalkeeper, and a really stupid decision in terms of from Tommy Doyle, who just wipes out the centre forward in terms of trying to get through there. But silly decision, but probably one that keeps Wolves in the game, seeing as he's looking to go through on goal. So Ollie Norwood's just stepping up for the free kick with McAtee around it. But yeah, still Sheffield United 0, Wolves 0.
Excellent, thank you very much for that. There has been a goal in one of our Premier League games. Let's find out all about it.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's an equaliser for Brentford. Brentford 2, West Ham United 2 at the G-Tech Community Stadium. The London derby dished up 3 goals in the first half. 10 minutes into the second half, it's Brentford that strike back to equalise. It's 2-2 in that game. And we will be across to Johnny Holmes in just a few moments' time to hear all about that goal. Brentford 2, West Ham United 2. Let's go to Duka. Duka is watching the game between Everton and Brighton. Brighton trailing by a goal to 0. They did have the ball in the back of the net in the first half. Lewis Dunk's goal ruled out by VAR. And Brighton, Duka, have just had another good chance.
Yeah, fantastic chances from Lewis Dunk again. It was a free kick on the edge of the area, and Lewis Dunk decides to take it and forces a really, really good save from Jordan Pickford. Brighton did make a change at half-time, bringing off Adam Lallana, who was a complete passenger in that first half, if I'm honest, and brought on club record signing João Pedro. And things seem to be changing for Brighton. They seem to be a bit more progressive going forward and breaking the lines of Everton. But at the minute, it's still Everton 1, Brighton 0.
Excellent. Let's head and hear about that goal with Johnny Holmes watching the London derby. Brentford 2, West Ham United 2. Johnny, the Bees are back in business.
Back in business indeed, Barry, and this one sets it up perfectly for this second half. Brentford were the team on the front foot so far in the second half, and they've got their goal. They are level. It comes from a corner. They work it short to Janelt originally, back to Mbuemo, and he whips it in. It's such a dangerous, curling, delicious ball. Keeper can't come for it. He doesn't know whether to go, whether to stay. In the end, he stays on his line, and it's nodded into the back of the net. It looks like it might be an own goal. Yes, it's gone down as an own goal. West Ham United centre-back Mavropanos has been awarded the goal. Not that he'll want it, but it is Brentford 2, West Ham United 2. And what a second half we're in for. 55 minutes played.
2-2 in that one. Kostas Mavropanos with an own goal. 2-2 between Brentford and West Ham. Can't help but feel those two erratic sides are going to serve us up some more goals between now and the end of play. Let's quickly go to Turf Moor, where we've had a chance. Matt Key, and also a substitution. Great to see him back from injury. Eberici Eze.
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. He's got a huge ovation from the Crystal Palace fans in the away end at Turf Moor after being out for some while. It's been a bit of a strange one, to be honest. He's come on for Decore, this Palace's central defensive midfielder, which is perhaps a bit of a surprise given they've got the lead. And it's not too much of an accolade given the quality of the game, but I'd say he's probably been the best player on the pitch up until now. So a bit of a strange one. Maybe there's an injury there that I haven't seen. We'll have to, again, I'll see if I give you an update on that. But Eze on, huge ovation from the Crystal Palace fans. Let's see if he can make a difference. You'd feel like another goal here for Palace would kill Burnley off in this one. 60 minutes gone at the hour mark here at Turf Moor, and it's still Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Excellent, thank you very much for that, Matt. Plymouth 2, Middlesbrough 2. Second goal of the afternoon for Middlesbrough's Josh Coburn, who I called Joe earlier. It's Josh Coburn. He's also missed a penalty in that game as well. He missed a penalty and he converted the rebound. Before we go to John Kane for the latest odds, I can tell you there has been a goal at Turf Moor.
The goals, powered by NairoBet.
The Clarets have a home record second to none, but they've equalised. It's Burnley that have equalised. Burnley 1, Crystal Palace 1. But don't get too excited, Burnley fans, because they've just been told it's been disallowed. So it's still 1-0 to Crystal Palace. What hasn't been disallowed is Aldershot, who are away to Swindon of the Football League today. Big underdogs and on-leg side Aldershot. They're now 7-0 up. Jack Barham with a hat-trick. Offside goal, by the way, the Burnley goal. We'll head to Matt Key in just a few moments' time to hear all about it. But for now, we're going to catch up with our producer here in the studio, John Kane, who can give us all the latest odds in the games taking place at the moment in the Premier League and elsewhere.
The latest in-play betting odds from NairoBet.
Yes, the latest odds from NairoBet website. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. In fact, there's been a goal in Manchester City just now. So I'm going to play the jingle for you.
The goals, powered by NairoBet.
There you go, right in the middle of my latest betting odds. It's now Manchester City 4, Bournemouth 0. Of course, we're going back to Barry Swain and Patrick Noir for more news on that goal. Betting is suspended for that game, as expected. Burnley, who've just scored and goal been disallowed. 65 minutes gone, still losing by 1-0. Burnley are 11.0 for the win. It's gone down to 11.0. So obviously, the bookmakers can see something happening there. The draw has just gone up to 3.80, and a Palace away win is still 1.44. Sheffield United Wolves, 65 minutes gone as well, still 0-0. Sheffield United are 5.50 for the win. The draw is 2.0, and Wolves away win is 2.75. So they're more favourites than the actual home team. Everton and Brighton, well, we all know how good Brighton are. They're losing away to Everton by 1-0, but they're only 7.50 for the win away. The draw is 3.40, and for the Everton win, it's still a good, healthy 1.62. Brentford West Ham 2-2, 30 minutes to go. West Brentford are favourites for that game. They're 2.60 for the win. 2.30 for the draw, 4.50 for West Ham away win. I can tell you, Phil Foden is the one who scored for Manchester City. Betis Mallorca, they're in the second half. Betis are leading by 1-0. Betis are 1.08. That's how favourite they are. However, the draw for Mallorca is 11.0, and Mallorca away win is 51.00. Lorient and Lens, 25 minutes gone, still 0-0 in the France League 1. Lorient at home, they are 4.20 for the win, 3.0 for the draw, and Lens are the favourites, are 2.15. All these prices are from NairoBet, and they're all subject to change.
John, thank you very much. We'll head back to hear from Pat Norrett. As John just alluded to, Phil Foden has bashed the ball in the back of the Bournemouth net, and Pat Norrett has his eyes on it. He could tell us all about the fourth Manchester City goal.
Yeah, I was just thinking that City were just going through the motions, and they were just going through the motions. Basically, Phil Foden played the ball wide out to Doku, and Doku took it into the box and gave it back to Phil Foden 1-2, and then just passed it for the keeper. So with, 66 gone, it's Manchester City 4, Bournemouth 0.
Excellent, thank you very much for that, Pat. Let's head to Turf Moor. Burnley had the ball in the back of the Crystal Palace net. Sadly for them, there was also a flag being waved on the far side. Matt Key can tell us all about the goal that never was.
Yep, sadly for Burnley and sadly for Jay Rodriguez, who it was that put the ball in. He had a goal disallowed last week against Bournemouth. That one was analysed for what seemed like ages. If you remember, Barry, there were shouts of "this is embarrassing" from both sets of supporters on that occasion. A bit of a simpler one today. The officials not had to earn his paycheck too much this time. It was an Amdoni shot with his left foot, saved by Sam Johnson, parried back into the path of Jay Rodriguez. We calmly slotted away, but the Palace defenders stood there with their arms in the air for the offside flag, and so it came up. And yeah, he was comfortably offside on the replay, but better signs from Burnley. Palace perhaps need to sort this out a bit. It's getting a bit worrying for them. They're inviting Burnley on a bit too much for Roy Hodgson's liking. But they still lead due to that Jeffrey Schlupp goal. 65 minutes gone. Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Who wants a free bet? NairaBet has you covered. Newcastle take on Arsenal. We are giving away a 100% matched free bet up to 1,000 Naira. Whether you back the Magpies or the Gunners, even if your bet does not win, you will still be eligible for the free bet. All you need to do is log into www.nairabet.com, bet on Newcastle versus Arsenal, receive a free bet to use on any sports or virtuals. To qualify, just place a bet on either the pre-match markets or in play. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18, minimum odds of 1.5. Must be a real money bet. Cashed out bets do not qualify. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Football Live is back on Brila FM tomorrow afternoon from 3:10 with Dean Kilford. Two fantastic matches in the Premier League. A Midlands derby at the City Ground where Nottingham Forest take on Aston Villa. And in a 5:30 kick-off at Kenilworth Road, it's Luton Town against Liverpool. We'll also dip into La Liga in Spain, where Valencia take on Granada, and Heidenheim against Stuttgart is our featured game in the German Bundesliga. An action-packed show lined up for you tomorrow afternoon on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM.
Sports Radio 88.9 Brila FM.
Oh my word, what is going on here?
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
I don't know how to describe it anymore.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
So close, but yet so far.
Powered by NairaBet.
It's come out of nowhere, really.
The Premier League, La Liga, the Bundesliga, Serie A, the Saudi Pro League.
There's action everywhere you look.
Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
I want more goals.
It's a show that's packed to the brim. It's madness. It's chaotic.
Superb finish.
Okay, guys, welcome to the weekly Football Live production meeting. I've got a great idea. We go out and we ask all the top football managers what they think of the show. Let's do this.
Jurgen Klopp, are you a fan of Football Live?
It's super. It's just super. It's really a top.
Mikel Arteta, how good is Football Live?
I've been really impressed.
Pep, Football Live love you, but do you love Football Live?
They are unique and I enjoy a lot.
Sean Dyche, do you listen to Football Live, the greatest football show on earth?
What you're talking about now. They know and I know, and you probably do know, they've made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Okay, so we need to work on Sean Dyche.
You are listening to Football Live.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Kane Wears could tell us all about a Sheffield United goal.
Yeah, cannot believe it, Barry. And what a goal it is. It's just a long ball from Wes Foderingham, and he plays it just directly down the throat of Wolves. Craig Dawson goes to head it away, and he heads it off the back of his own player, Lamina, who just sends Cameron Archer in on goal. And about 35 yards out, Cameron Archer just absolutely hits one in off the crossbar and into the goal. Somehow, 72 minutes in, it's Sheffield United 1, Wolves 0.
I can tell you I like Cameron Archer. I think he's a really good player. He could be the key for Sheffield United. Can they hold on? Can they keep those 3 points at Bramall Lane against Wolves this afternoon? What they've got to do is keep a clean sheet, and I don't think they've managed that too often this season, have they? Not at all in the Premier League, of course. Now, let's get around the around the games. Let's start with, where should we go first? Where we haven't been for a while. How about the West London match between Brentford and West Ham United? Johnny Holmes, you've had plenty of goals, but dried up a little bit of late.
They have dried up, but it's brewing nicely, Barry, here. Brentford 2, West Ham United 2, but it's Brentford, the home side, who are on the attack. They've had a few chances, a few efforts at goal, including one that was blocked just about off the line and cleared away by West Ham. And I tell you what, West Ham living dangerously there. It was a strike from Mopé, but it was blocked and deflected clear by Danny Ings, who has actually come on to replace Antonio for West Ham United. And Brentford, with their pace up front, and Buemo and Visa on the left and the right, they're so dangerous. And if anyone's getting a goal, it looks like it's Brentford at the moment. Forward they come. Can they turn this game around? They've already got level. Can they get a winner here? Brentford 2, West Ham United 2, 69 minutes played.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, I can tell you, just as we've handed back, that always happens to me, doesn't it? Just as he's handed back there, I can tell you that Nathan Collins has scored, and Brentford, who were ahead, then they were behind, and now they're ahead again. Brentford 3, West Ham United 2. And, well, yeah, so that's something that we can dish into in just a moment. In the meantime, not to be outdone,
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
5 goals in the game of the G-Tech for Johnny Holmes. Keeping up with him, however, 5 goals for Pat Norrett this afternoon. Manchester City had got 4, Bournemouth none. They have got 1 back. Louis Sinistera has just scored for Bournemouth to make it Manchester City 4, Bournemouth 1. They've got a goal back there. Rotherham have equalised in the basement battle in the Championship. Rotherham 1, QPR 1. Georgie Kelly with the equalising goal there. So as soon as we can, we'll go and hear about the goal for Bournemouth. But we can go to Johnny Holmes now, who can tell us all about the goal for Brentford.
And what a game this is. It's seesaw, it's back and forth. Brentford took the lead earlier and they've come back and done it again. And what a header it is by Collins, who rises highest to a Jensen cross. Jensen gets the assist and Collins is there to nod it past the goalkeeper. Nothing that Areola could do. And Brentford, from being 2-1 down in this second half, they've made it 3-2 against West Ham. Brentford 3, West Ham United 2, 70 minutes played.
So 3-2 to Brentford. We'll hear from Pat Norrett in just a second. I can tell you that Bournemouth goal, they've already had one chalked off. VAR are having a look at this one. Oh, go easy on them, VAR. Come on, it's 4-0. But Bournemouth's goal is being checked. Sinistera with the goal. And it has, I believe, been given. For Bournemouth, it is 4-1. And Pat Norrett can tell us all about the 5th goal that had been greeted by his eyes this afternoon at the Etihad.
It was actually a good goal, actually, a breakaway from Bournemouth, and it was a crossfield ball from right to left. And City tried to play offside, but he was onside, of course, because he's crossing the ball from right to left and stayed onside. And Sinceron just got back in right and just crossed it in and just scored. So now, with reckon how long we got left. With about 73 minutes gone, it's Manchester City 4, Bournemouth 1. The comeback is on.
He's getting better at the maths, isn't he, Pat? He managed to add that one up. 5 goals, 4-1. And Manchester City heading towards 3 points this afternoon. 4-1 they lead. Now, we've got some cracking games for you this afternoon in the later part of the show. We've got Newcastle United against Arsenal. And we'll be right across that one throughout the 90 minutes. And I've got some team news for you. Let's run through the 2 lineups. First of all, Newcastle United, Nick Pope in goal. Back 4 of Trippier, Shah, Lascelles playing, and then Dan Burn, Joel Linton, Sean Longstaff, and Bruno Guimaraes in midfield. Miguel Almiron and Anthony Gordon supporting Wilson in attack. Callum Wilson, what a fantastic season he's having. Here's a stat for you that really will sit on your mind when I read it out. Since April, Callum Wilson has averaged a goal in the Premier League every 59 minutes. That's 18 Premier League goals in 21 games in that time since April. He has been banging in the goals. Now, for Arsenal, David Raya back in goal. Ben White, William Saliba, Gabriel and Tomiyasu at left back. Kai Havertz starts in midfield with Jorginho and Declan Rice. And then that 3-prong attack. Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka supporting Eddie Nketiah, the hat-trick hero from last week, in attack. So that's your team news from St James's Park. It's Arsenal that go to Newcastle United in the late kickoff. We'll try and bring you some team news from the Klassiker as well in a short while. The Nigerian defender Semi Ajayi has just headed West Brom 3-1 up in the Championship against Hull City, the Nigerian international. On the score sheet, West Brom pushing for a playoff pace, and they are going the right way about it this afternoon. Are Everton going the right way about picking up points? They're less than 15 minutes away from 3 points today, and it could be a cracking week if they can hold on. Everton leading Brighton by a 1-0, and Duka Dugma, they nearly made it 2-0.
Yes, they did. It was a brilliant chance for Dwight McNeil. Jack Harrison had the ball on the right-hand side, tried to put a cross in, but it was blocked and just fell so kindly to Dwight McNeil, who tried to get it into that bottom corner, but it just went wide of the post. And then they had another chance. I think it was Abdoulaye Doucouré who got a ball into the box to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but a defender got a block in, and it stays 1-0 to Everton. But Brighton have also had a fair few good chances. Matoma on the left-hand side has been causing Everton a few issues. He's been driving forward at Ashley Young, getting past him, and puts the ball across the box. It's blocked and falls so kindly to Pascal Gross, who only finds row Z of Goodison Park. But as it stands here at Goodison Park, it's Everton 1, Brighton 0.
Thank you very much for that, Duka. We've also got the Klassiker team news coming in. Tom Cooney's going to be watching this one for us at the big game at Signal Iduna Park, which kicks off in around about 50 minutes time. Let's cross over to Tom Cooney. You can give us all the team news. Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. Good afternoon, Tom.
Good afternoon, Barry. Yeah, brilliant occasion whenever these two sides meet. It's early on in the season. The teams go into this Dortmund 4th in the league, Bayern 2nd, both unbeaten so far. Neither can go top today ahead of the runaway. The runaway starters by Leverkusen, but Dortmund can go above Bayern with a win. Their last outing in the league saw them draw 3-3 at Frankfurt, and they progressed in the cup midweek, beating Hoffenheim by 1-0. They make 2 changes from the last league game. Julian Brandt and Julian Ryerson come in for Reina and Ben Sabani. Well, for Bayern Munich, their last league outing saw them win 8-0 at Darmstadt with a hat-trick for Harry Kane, but it was a different tale midweek. They were dumped out of the cup by 3rd Division Saarbrücken, losing 2-1. Obviously, they made a host of changes for that game, but from the last league game, it's 2 changes for them as well. Upamecano comes in for De Ligt, and Goretzka comes in for the injured Joshua Kimmich. We've got about 40 minutes until kick-off here at Signal Iduna Park. Atmosphere is building.
Tom, thank you very much. Really looking forward to this one. Tom Cooney, thank you. We will be back with you throughout the rest of the show. What a last half of the show we've got. Newcastle United against Arsenal. You've just heard the team news there. And Harry Kane, after being dropped and left on the bench for the cup defeat against third-tier opposition in midweek, is back in for Bayern Munich this afternoon. Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. It's 4th against second. Borussia Dortmund with a win today would go up to second, a point behind Bayer Leverkusen. Probably now is as good a time as any to quickly take you through the full times in the Bundesliga. Union Berlin, another horrific day for them. Union Berlin 0, Eintracht Frankfurt 3. What a game. Freiburg, they were 3-1 down at half-time against Borussia Mönchengladbach. That's ended 3-3. Mainz and Leipzig, that's 2-0 to the home side. Mainz beating Leipzig by 2-0, and Leipzig down in fifth with a defeat away from home that dents their aspirations at the top. Cologne 1, Augsburg 1, all square in that one, and Leverkusen back at the top of the tree with a 3-2 victory away at Hoffenheim, who, well, there's always a goal when Hoffenheim are involved. Leverkusen winning, Alex Grimaldo scoring 2 and Wirtz 1. Hoffenheim, unbelievable their record this season. Away from home, they are exceptional. Unbeaten, brilliant. At home, they're awful. And that run continues today. So they lose at home to Bayer Leverkusen. Let's get across to Burnley, who are playing Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace hanging on in there. But Johnston, the goalkeeper for Palace, has just had to make another save, Matt.
Yeah, hanging on is the exact right term here, Barry. Burnley really pushing for what would be a crucial point for them, you feel, especially with the likes of Sheffield United winning. And Sam Johnson been called into action twice in the last few minutes. Palace not had a shot since they've scored, so they're really holding on here. They've got about 10 minutes to do it, and they won't care if they finish this 1-0 up. Burnley pushing, but 85 minutes gone. Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 1.
The goals, powered by NairoBet.
Yes, indeed. And Pat Norrat, our reporter, takes the lead in who's going to get the most goals in their game this afternoon, because Manchester City have got a 5th goal. And it's now 5-1. Manchester City 5, Bournemouth 1. It's the 7th meeting at the Etihad between these two, and it's the 5th time in 7 that they've scored 4 or more goals. It's 5-1 there, and VAR are having a look, and I've just been told that VAR have given the thumbs up. Aldershot was 7-0 up away at Swindon. The comeback's on. Swindon have got a couple of goals. It's now Swindon 2, Aldershot 7. Can't see Bournemouth coming back from 5-1 down. Bernardo Silva scoring the goal. Matt Key, we just spoke to him at Burnley, who were taking on Crystal Palace, holding on grimly a little bit, Crystal Palace. Matt, it's still the case. They are holding on grimly, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got Sam Johnson again, so thank for keeping them ahead in this one. It's Brownhill for Burnley, the midfield player, who's picked it up outside the box. He whips it with his right foot. Really got a good amount of curl on this shot from outside the box. It's gone a few bodies as well, and Sam Johnson's done really well to tip it over the bar. And from the resulting corner, Jay Rodriguez was there at the front post, and Johnson was called into action again to push it over the bar. He couldn't help but feel that maybe if a Burnley player had been in the vicinity, just gambled on it, that could have been enough to put Johnson off and have an easy tap in. Really big chance for the home side that. They've got about 3 minutes and added time left. They've really got to get something out of this game, you feel, but they're knocking on the door. 88 minutes gone. Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Pat Norrat's got his calculator out. He's got 6 goals. He can tell us about that 6th goal. Another goal for Manchester City, Pat.
Yeah, I can tell you this is a wonderful goal. Basically, Bournemouth were attacking. They lost the ball in the Manchester half. Manchester picked it up, and Bernardo Silva was running from his own half, took the ball into their half, and just carried it, beat one player, and just dink it, cross with the ball. He just ran on his own, him and the keeper to beat, and he cut inside and went wide, and then he just lifted it over the keeper. What a goal. So with, what are we now? With 86 gone, it's Manchester City 5, Bournemouth 1.
The goals, powered by NairoBet.
Now listen, Brighton scored an equaliser against Everton in the first half. Lewis Dunk's goal was disallowed. And yes, I could tell you they have scored again. I don't think VAR are having a look this time. VAR have had a couple of decisions in the Sheffield United game. We'll go and hear about that in a minute, but I can tell you that Brighton have equalised. Ashley Young own goal, 6 minutes from time, and that looks as if it's going to end all square with Brighton coming back. They were pegged back by Fulham last week in the game down on the south coast. This time they're coming back themselves. And, well, what else have we got? Bristol Rovers have scored 7 in the FA Cup. We mentioned Victor Adebayeji, the 5-goal striker for Bolton. He's on the bench today for Bolton Wanderers, but they are cruising through in the Tough Sheet Community Stadium clash in Bolton against Solihull Moors. Love the name of that stadium, the Tough Sheet Community Stadium in Bolton. Adebayeji has not even come off the bench, but he has watched his side sail into a 4-goal lead against the non-leaguers this afternoon in the FA Cup.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
We'll go off and hear about that Brighton goal at Everton in just a second, but I can tell you the Wolves have equalised at Sheffield United, and we'll catch up with the news from that game at Bramall Lane with Kane Wears in just a couple of minutes. Let's head to Duka Dubma, who can tell us all about that goal.
I tell you what, it's so unfortunate for Everton, who've defended so well in large portions of this game, but it was a brilliant ball from Dahoud, switches the play brilliantly over to Mitoma, who brings it down, takes on Jack Harrison and beats him, and puts the low ball into the box, and it just scoops off Ashley Young's toe and loops over Jordan Pickford and just goes into the back of the net. So unfortunate for Everton, but Brighton do deserve this equaliser. They've been on top for the majority of the second half, and with about 5 minutes plus added time to play, it's Everton 1, Brighton 1.
Thank you very much for that. So Everton 1, Brighton 1. Let's cross to Kane Wears. He was trying to get to him to tell us about a couple of interventions from VAR, and then Wolves go and score. VAR have checked it, and Kane, I believe the goal stands.
Yeah, the goal stands, and I think they were just checking for an offside from the chance. But the goal comes from Semedo on the right-hand side, who just bends the ball into the edge of the box, just to Bellegarde, who just picks the ball up and just holds off the defender and just spins and rifles it top corner. An absolute hammer blow for the Blades. But the curling shot, top corner from Bellegarde, absolutely outstanding finish. 89 minutes, Sheffield United 1, Wolves 1.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Kane. So let's bring you bang up to date with how things are standing in the Premier League. But before I do that, let's just tell you about yet another Manchester City goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Yes, indeed. It's now Manchester City 6, Bournemouth 1, and Pat Norrett will no doubt tell us all about it in just a few moments' time. So here is how things stand on what has been a thoroughly entertaining afternoon of football in the Premier League so far. Brentford 3, West Ham 2. We'll be across to that in just a second to hear a big chance for West Ham. Burnley still trailing into injury time at the end of the second half. 0-1 against Palace. It's 1-1 between Everton and Brighton. Manchester City, we just heard, 6-1 up against Bournemouth. And Sheffield United 1. Wolves 1, a late goal for Wolves there, a kick in the teeth. Pat Norrett, it's a real kick in the teeth for Bournemouth this afternoon. Manchester City have just gone and got a 6th.
Yeah, they did, and it's funny because the crowd was singing "We want 6, we want 6," and they moved the ball around, got the ball to the right-hand side, and what it was, it had a corner. I was watching this and I thought, like, every corner they've had, right, it's been a short corner, and I thought they were going to put this one in, but they didn't. They worked it around the box, and then he went wide again. They put a cross in, and Nathan Ake diving header. So it's Manchester City 6, Bournemouth 1, with 90 gone, with 7 to play.
Excellent. Why do the crowd always sing "We want 6"? Well, they've got it. Manchester City fans, there you go. 6-1 against Bournemouth, par for the course. We'll be heading back to Nigeria and to Brila FM in a few minutes' time. FJ, we're taking your calls, and it'll be all across social media. A win for The United of Manchester today. Manchester United winning at Fulham. Arsenal have returned Raya in goal today. What are your thoughts on that? Chelsea against Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Monday. What are your thoughts on that big London derby? Looking forward to that one. Tottenham against Chelsea. Let's head off to West London. Brentford, last time we heard, 3-2 up against West Ham. It's a ding-dong affair. We didn't know what we were going to get here, did we? Johnny, it's been a cracking game. Chances at both ends late on.
Chances galore here, and it's been, as you say, ding-dong affair. Either side could still get a point or even all 3 points here. West Ham had the best chance they've had of the last 10 or 15 minutes. A pinball moment in the box. It's zipping about everywhere. It falls to Kudos, who's had a brilliant game. He's been the star man for West Ham, but he just couldn't bring it under control. Kind of bobbles off his thigh. Cleared away by Brentford, and with their pace on the break up front with Visa and Umbuemo marching forward, 3 against 2, and forward they come, working it beautifully, and it falls for Mopé, who has the goal at his mercy, but he places it just wide. That was a chance to put the game to bed. They couldn't take it. Brentford still lead 3-2 here, 89 minutes played.
The goals, powered by NairoBet.
And I could tell you that Crystal Palace have weathered the storm and gone down the other end and got a second goal in that game at Turf Moor. We'll be across to Matt Key in just a second to hear about that. Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 2. Wayne Rooney looked like he was on his way to his first victory as the Birmingham City manager, but Marcus Holness has scored 2 goals in the last 11 minutes, and it's 2-2. Ipswich have come back. Tyreek Mitchell, 94th minute, has added a second goal for Crystal Palace at Turf Moor. As I say, we'll be back to hear about that one with Matt Key. In fact, let's go across to Turf Moor right now. Matt Key, game, set and match. Palace have got all 3 points, haven't they?
Yeah, game, set and match, and despite being absolutely dominated in this second half for large amounts of it, Crystal Palace wrap up the game with their first shot on target in the second half. Cue a mass exodus from Turf Moor. It's Tyreek Mitchell, the left back. What's he doing up the pitch? Having been pegged back for so long, I don't know. But he's there and he's applied the finishing touch. It was brilliant from Anderson. Last ditch defending from Crystal Palace. Anderson gets the ball up to Eze. There's that bit of quality that Crystal Palace have been missing. Nice bit of dribbling. Sees Mitchell bombarding down the left-hand side, slides him in, and Mitchell finishes with all the confidence of a number 9, not a left-back. Game, set and match here. Burnley fall to another home defeat. It's a record defeat at home at the start of the season. Palace pick up their first win since September. That's going to do it for us. It's full time here at Turf Moor, and it's finished Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 2.
Thank you very much for that, Matt. So a victory for Crystal Palace. Defeat number 6 out of 6 for Burnley at home. If they can't sort out their home form, they are going straight back down to the Championship. At the game between Sheffield United and Wolves, the controversy has gone to VAR in the 95th minute. Kane Wears, tell us how this one is panning out.
Yeah, it could be a penalty to Sheffield United. 95th minute here, and it's just a shot that comes in from Cameron Archer, and for some reason I think it's Craig Dawson's lying on the floor, so I think they're double checking to see if it hits his hand or not, but yeah, we're just awaiting that decision. But 95 minutes played, Sheffield United 1, Wolves 1.
Yeah, just looking at it on the monitor here, the decision is no penalty. When it's not going for you, it's not going for you, and it's not going for Sheffield United in this particular instance. So yeah, that's not given that penalty. Just returning back to the Premier League, that's finished Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 2. Earlier on today, Manchester United picked up all 3 points with a 1-0 win away at Fulham. A 91st minute winner from Bruno Fernandes. We're waiting for the final whistles to blow around the Premier League, deep into stoppage time at Brentford, at Everton, at Manchester City and at Sheffield United. Over to you, FJ.
Powered by NairoBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Yes, thank you to FJ and the team back in Brila FM studios. Thank you, FJ. I did hear that question. And Eddie Nketiah, what landmark is he celebrating today? He does start, and we will be across to St James's Park. The answer to that is its 100th Premier League appearance in his career. 100th Premier League appearance in his career, Eddie Nketiah. But will it be a happy one? Well, Matthew Key will be our reporter at St James's Park, and that game kicks off in less than 10 minutes' time. We hope to be joined very soon by Ayo Alabi, our betting expert from NairaBet. Looking forward to two unbelievable games that we've got for you this afternoon. Of course, it's the big game at St James's Park. Newcastle United against Arsenal. David Raya back in goal for Arsenal for that one. And then Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. And we've also got Atalanta against Inter Milan. We'll head across to Jacob Collock, who's watching that one for an update in a very short while. Let's head to the Etihad first of all, though. A comprehensive afternoon. 6 goals scored by Manchester City. Pat Norret, it was rather one-way traffic, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, baby. It wasn't like that for the first 25 minutes. City had to work him out because Brentford actually set up as a 5-4-1 and it was very difficult, but you could see what City was trying to do. But it took them 7 minutes to get 3 goals. It started on the 30th, on the 30-minute mark on Doku, then on the edge of the box, a 1-2 with Rodri, and then it started past the keeper. That was the first one. Then 3 minutes later, it was Doku, this time assisting Silva on the other side of the pitch, where Silva was in the middle of the box, and then again, shot it bottom left-hand corner. Another 3 minutes later, Doku, this time on the left-hand side, cut inside, took a shot, the shot hit Kenji, then it went in. Then it went 3-0. It stayed like that until half-time. Half-time, Foden came on the 46 minutes, and he straight away in the 64th minute got a goal. Again, this time assisted by Doku. It's like a one-man team. Doku gave him the ball in the box, and he shot it past the keeper. And then before a comeback was on, Sensitera came back with a goal on the 74th minute. A nice crossfield ball in the box, shot goal. Then Silva wouldn't have that on the 83rd minute. Doku again. This time gave a long ball to Silva. He ran, went to the right-hand side and chipped the keeper. Wonderful goal. Then the last goal in 88th minute to make it 6-1. It was a corner which worked short. They worked it around and then a nice cross from Bob, who then Ake dived in and scored a 6 goals. So it finished with City 6, Bournemouth 1.
Thank you very much to Pat Norret this afternoon. He only mustered up the mere tally of 7 goals in his game. So he wins the prize from the 4 o'clock WAT time zone kickoffs in the Premier League. The big one coming up in just a few minutes' time is, of course, the Newcastle against Arsenal one. Tough one to call, this one. And Matthew Key will be bringing us up to date as the action gets underway. As I mentioned earlier, we're hoping to speak to Ayo Alabi, and he can give us all the latest odds and his thoughts ahead of Newcastle against Arsenal and Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. Of course, it's Atalanta against Inter Milan this afternoon. Let's catch up with Jacob Collock, who's watching this game. We're around about 25 minutes in, Jacob. Atalanta against Inter Milan. It's the game at the Gewiss Park. And here's Jacob Collock.
Yes, it hasn't been a classic so far. We've had one shot in these opening 25 minutes. But I guess it's what you'd expect from Atalanta, who haven't conceded at home at all this season, and Inter, who haven't conceded away all season. So as of right now, 23 minutes in, it's not looking like it's going to be a particularly exciting game, but it's currently 0-0.
Thank you very much for that. And, well, I'll tell you what, let's delve into our Premier League matches as the two teams make it onto the field at St James's Park. Newcastle United in those famous black and white shirts. Arsenal in those equally famous red shirts with the white sleeves. They're making their way out to a full house this evening at Newcastle United. And, well, we're delighted to be joined this afternoon by NairaBet's betting expert, Ayo Alabi. Good afternoon, Ayo. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you today?
I'm not as good as you because you're a Man United supporter and I'm a Fulham supporter. So your team, good win though for them, wasn't it?
It was a good win. I was there at the stadium. I was sat at the Fulham end today, and it was, I don't know how I kept myself sane and sensible without being lynched. So I pretended to be a Fulham fan. I pretended to be you for a moment, but it was a good win in the end. United didn't deserve to win the game, but
yes, we watched it here. It wasn't the greatest of games.
If that was a performance, if that was a concert today, a performance at a concert, you would boo. But football has a way of winning, taking over being the most important thing at the end of the day.
Absolutely. We did get better second half. Anyway, we want to try and squeeze you in before the kick-off, and the two teams are out, and Newcastle against Arsenal. Really looking forward to this one. What's your hunch?
It's a tough one to call. Two seasons ago, Arsenal went there and collapsed like a pack of cards. This time around, last season, they went there and showed authority, showed their class and composure, and deservedly won 2-0. This time around, it's an even game. Newcastle are 3.00 to win the game. Arsenal are 2.50. So Arsenal are marginal favourites to win the game. A draw is at 3.30. For me, this could be a draw or Arsenal winning the game. It's a tough one to call. It's a toss of the coin. But I think the best bet in this particular game is a draw for me. The draw is 3.30. It's a safe bet. It's I know it's sitting on the fence, but at the same time, sometimes you've got to sit on the fence. 3.30 is the bet for me. Also, the first goal scorer is key in this game. The first goal scorer for me, I'm going for. Sorry, give me one moment. I'm going for Kieran Trippier, 51.00. Set piece. He will be the one in charge. It will be a game of few goals.
Another big game that's just about to kick off as well in Germany. The Der Klassiker, Borussia Dortmund. They just missed out on the title last season, didn't they? We had that game covered back in May. Unbelievable. It was in their own hands, and they lost home to Mainz, and they threw the title away. Bayern Munich took it. They strengthened over the summer months, of course. Harry Kane coming in. He's back today after being left out in midweek. Bad result for Bayern Munich in midweek, losing to a third-tier opponent in the Cup. But they'll be looking to bounce back today. This is a very interesting game, isn't it?
It's an interesting game. As you said, Dortmund collapsed like a pack of cards. They did a Spursy. They did an Arsenal. What we're used to seeing Arsenal do in the Premier League. Just at the time when you need them to win a game, they just lose. How can you have the game in your hands, the title in your hands? To win the game, you are home, but you draw 2-2. And let Bayern win. Is it the 11th in a row? And I think they'll just win the 12th in a row this season. I think they will win away to Dortmund. Dortmund at 3.75, it draws at 4.33, and Bayern Munich at a very, very tiny 1.83. Harry Kane to score the first goal. This is his first Klassiker, they call it in Germany as the third. Harry Kane will want to make his mark in this game. And I fancy him to score 2 or more. I fancy him to score the first goal at 4.20, and also to score 2 or more goals in this game. I fancy him to score 2 or more goals, and he is let me check the price for you to score the 2 or more goals. Harry Kane to score 2 or more goals is 10.00. Is he capable of doing it? Of course, he's capable of doing it. Musiala is playing very well for Bayern Munich. He's playing very well for Germany. A lot of people are saying who is the battle of the golden boys between Bellingham and Musiala. Musiala has got a blend of Kaká and married with his own ability, the way he goes past people. I watched him against United. He was stunning in that game. And I think it will cause all manner of problems for Dortmund. I think Bayern Munich will win it. And I think Harry Kane will be the first goal scorer and he will score 2 or more goals in this game.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us.
So we've got 1 minute more before kick-off.
Yes, 1 minute more. Just doing the minute silence at the moment. Of course, remember it's Sunday next weekend. Really looking forward to these 2 matches this afternoon. Io, thank you very much for joining us. You can go and celebrate those three points for Manchester United now. Thanks for your words of wisdom, and we will catch you again on the show tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Tomorrow afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
See you then. Take care.
Bye.
That was Io Alabi, the betting expert from Naira Bet. There's your tips ahead of Newcastle United against Arsenal. That game is just about to kick off. Bayern Munich's trip to Borussia Dortmund at Signal Iduna Park is just about to kick off. We're half an hour into the big game in Italy, where it's still 0-0 between Atalanta and Inter. Just hit the 30th minute of that game as well. Quick recap of the games that were played earlier. Brentford 3, West Ham 2, Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 2, Everton 1, Brighton 1, Manchester City 6, Bournemouth 1, and Sheffield United, after we'd handed back to our colleagues FJ and Co in Brila FM studios, Sheffield United scored in the 90-minute plus 11 minutes into stoppage time, 101 minutes in, they score from the penalty spot. Sheffield United 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Let's hear about that game, because we didn't quite catch it at the end. And, well, our man watching this game at Sheffield United Wolves from Bramall Lane was Kane Wears.
Sheffield United have picked up their first win of the season in dramatic fashion. Wolverhampton Wanderers dominated the first half and created several openings, but just could not take their chances. But a game of two halves swung the momentum in United's favour as Wolves struggled to keep the ball and keep the hosts at bay. Former Aston Villa forward Cameron Archer finally cashed in on United's pressure in the 72nd minute. After Totti attempted to stop the through ball, but a kind of ricochet off McAtee sees it land at Archer's path, who smashes it in from 35 yards, in off the crossbar. But Bellegarde for Wolves popped up on the 89th minute with an equaliser when he spun on the edge of the box and fired the ball in past Fotheringham and thought he'd salvaged a point for Wolves. However, substitute for Wolves Fabio Silva fouled George Baldock deep into added time to hand Oliver Norwood the chance to win it at the death. After a check of VAR, Norwood rifled the ball into the top corner and gave Sheffield United the 3 points in their first win of the season. Full time at Bramall Lane at Sheffield United 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1.
Thank you very much to Kane Wears for covering that match. We promised a goal. He came up with 3 in the end. Plenty of goals this afternoon in the Premier League. We'll hear from a couple of other Premier League games taking place. First of all, let's get round those grounds, because there are 3 games going on at the moment, and they're not just any old games. Big in the Premier League, big in the Bundesliga, and pretty big in Italy too. Let's head off to St James's Park first of all. Matthew Keys watching this one. Newcastle United against Arsenal. 2 minutes on the clock. What can you tell us so far, Matthew?
I can tell you it's been a fast start for the home team, Barry. Newcastle really pressing high against Arsenal early on, putting David Raya under pressure. Obviously, he's been making all the headlines, the Arsenal goalkeeping situation has. So Newcastle keen to press on him early, and they've done so very effectively to start with, winning the ball highly a couple of times. St James's Park is absolutely rocking for this fixture, and Arsenal, you feel like they've just got to get through these opening 10 minutes here, just sort of quieten the crowd down slightly, because I say it's absolutely rocking here. Should be a cracking game, this one, with 3 minutes gone, and it's Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Yes, Matt's promised fireworks, and fireworks I'm sure he will bring us. We're going to bring you goals though, I can tell you that. We're going to bring you goals. Well, I've not got the goal jingle to tell us. There you go. Thank you, John.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
My goal jingle's decided to stop working at the vital moment, but I can tell you the Bayern Munich have taken the lead, and we'll be across to hear about that goal in just a second into Klassiker. Tom Cooney's watching that one for us, and Bayern Munich have wasted absolutely no time at all in taking the lead in that game. Bayern Munich ahead already away at Borussia Dortmund inside the opening 5 minutes. It's a great start from the champions, and Upamecano with the goal to give them the lead. And let's see if we can go across, shall we, to Tom Cooney is watching this game. Tom, you haven't had to wait very long for the first goal in this game, the Klassiker, and it's gone to Bayern.
It has. Dortmund 0, Bayern 1. Barely, what are we? I think it's 4 minutes on the clock. Bayern kicked off. Dortmund haven't touched the ball yet. The early stages, you're going to get an atmosphere here, and I think for Bayern it's about taking the sting out of it early on, and haven't they done that? As I say, lots of possession. Dortmund haven't touched the ball yet. I think the first one may have been a block that Bayern have worked up the right-hand side, and it's been put out for a corner, and it really is a poor goal, reminiscent of of that last game of the season with some poor marking in the game against Mainz as Dortmund threw the title away. I don't think they've woken up since then. It's Upamecano that just steals in at the edge of the 6-yard box from Sané's corner, and he's 3 yards from goal. Easy header in. Dortmund have not woken up yet. We are 4 minutes gone. It's Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 1.
Excellent, thank you very much for that. I've been busy trying to fix my goal jingle, letting me down at the vital moment. We haven't had to use it so far, half an hour or so in to the Atalanta game against Inter Milan. Ademola Lookman playing for Atalanta this afternoon. Jacob Kollick, any sign of a goal? You said earlier on, there's very little in the way of chances. Have we seen any more chances since we last spoke to you?
Not just yet, but there has been an injury. Benjamin Pavard has had to come off after brave defending on his half. Matteo Darmian has come on in his stead. As you said, Ademola Lookman is playing, and he has looked so far the most energetic and the most likely to get a goal. He's had a couple of shots just off target quite early on, a great cross into the box that just barely missed the right-hand post. And the injury to Pavard was done when Pavard came in. Brave defending, stepping in and preventing Ademola Lookman from being able to get a header on target. So heading into the 36th minute, we're still 0-0. But if anyone's going to score, it's looking like Atalanta.
You are listening to Football Live.
So, already Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 1, Atalanta 0, Inter Milan 0. Let's head back to Newcastle United against Arsenal, 6.5 minutes on the clock. We haven't played out that goal jingle yet. Matt Key, who's on top in the opening stages?
It's still Newcastle there, Arsenal with what you wouldn't call last-ditch defending, but certainly plenty of men behind the ball there. Eddie Nketiah's done really well, to be fair. Just won a free kick about 10 yards outside his own box, which shows you how far Arsenal are having to defend deep. Say Newcastle, really positive start here. No goal chances to speak of, to be honest, but ball whipped in from Almiron, who was so good in that League Cup win in midweek. David Raya comes out, punches, confident goalkeeping from the Arsenal goalkeeper. Hopefully that will settle any of his nerves that he has ahead of this one. 7 minutes gone, Newcastle still on top, but Arsenal holding firm at the moment. 7 minutes gone, Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Thank you, Matthew. And, well, let's hear from one of the games that took place in the earlier kickoffs today. Plenty of goals in the Premier League this afternoon so far, and there were plenty in the London derby. Brentford were ahead, then they were behind, and they ended up being ahead when the final whistle blew as well. 5-goal thriller against West Ham United. And watching it for us was Johnny Holmes.
What a game at the G-Tech, and it's the home side Brentford who just about come out on top with a 3-2 victory against West Ham United in a London derby. It was Brentford who took the lead. Frank Onyeka, the Nigerian international, getting the assist for Neil Maupay, who stuck the ball in the back of the net to put the Bees in front. But on 19 minutes, the brilliant Mohamed Kudus, who was a threat throughout for West Ham United, made it 1-1. Antonio getting the assist for that one. And just 7 minutes later, Jared Bowen put the away side in front, and that's how it was at half-time. But in the second half, Brentford, the home side, came out fighting, and a Konstantinos Mavropanos own goal gave Brentford a lifeline, got them level, got them the equaliser. And Nathan Collins rose higher than anybody else to nod Brentford into the lead on 69 minutes after a Jensen cross. And that's how it finished. West Ham pushed and pushed. They knocked on the door, but they couldn't quite knock it down. Brentford get all 3 points here. Brentford 3, West Ham United 2.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
When you need a goal,
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. There's some technical issues with Barry Swain there. It's John Gainhay with you. We'll be back with you as soon as we can fix that issue. But I can tell you that Barry's back and he can tell you more of the Bayern Munich goal.
Thank you, John. Apologies. Do you know what? I've got the mute button here and I keep pressing it twice. What a presenter I am. Thank you very much, John. Listen, Harry Kane, if you want a goal, who are you going to call? Harry Kane, of course. He's gone and got another one, hasn't he? It's 2-0 to Bayern Munich already. And I can tell you, there's been another goal in our other featured match in Italy.
The goals, powered by NairoBet.
And it's come from the penalty spot. Hakan has given Inter the lead in that game. So Inter Milan leading away at Atalanta. We'll hear about that goal in just a minute. Let's go to the game between Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich. And Tom Cooney, Bayern Munich could not have made a better start, could they?
Barry, the Dortmund players are looking around at each other. They look shell-shocked. I can't really believe what I'm seeing here. Bayern have cut them to shreds in these opening few minutes. There was a chance just before the second goal. Jamal Musiala, who's looked the most lively player on the pitch, worked it through to Koeman, who nearly put them 2 up. It wasn't enough to wake Dortmund up, though, because the next attack, it was Musiala again, driving through the middle, and it's so easy. He plays a through ball to Sani on the left side of the box, who squares it for Harry Kane to get his first goal in this fixture. He scored a hat-trick last weekend, and he's on the score sheet again. 10 minutes gone in this game. I wonder what score it's going to be, because already it's Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 2.
Thank you very much, Tom. Let's head to Jakub Kolik, who's watching the game at Gewis Park. And finally, we've got our breakthrough goal. It's come from the penalty spot, hasn't it, Jacob?
It has indeed. It's Inter Milan 1, Atalanta 0. Hakan Çalhanoğlu with the goal from the spot. I have to say, probably quite a weak penalty. Matteo Darmian was running into the box with the ball. Inter's really first big movement, big chance with the ball. And he was just brought down by the Atalanta goalkeeper, Musso. But the ball was already away from Darmian. It was probably heading out of play. So very unfortunate. Musso giving him, earning a yellow card for his troubles. As it stands, it's Atalanta 0, Inter 1. Inter are probably lucky to have the lead, so we'll see what happens. But as we stand heading into the 41st minute, Atalanta 0, Inter 1.
Thank you very much for that, Jacob Kolik. So Atalanta 0, Inter Milan 1. Inter ahead there just before half-time at the Gewis Park, thanks to a penalty. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0. We'll be across to Matt Key in just a few moments' time. And Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 2 in the big game in Germany, the Der Klassiker. We were expecting it to be a tight affair. 13 minutes gone. It's anything but a tight affair in the game in the Signal Iduna Park. Let's go to Matt Key, who can tell us all about the opening stages. He's the only one without a goal so far. Newcastle United still looking the likelier lads?
Yeah, you'd say so at the minute, although Arsenal and Mikel Arteta will be happy. They've got through the first 10 minutes. I'm sure that would have been the first aim, and they're starting to knock the ball around with a bit more confidence now that really intense Newcastle press has just eased off for a moment or so. We had a bizarre bit of play a while ago, Barry, where this new rule the PGML have implemented, where if a player goes down and needs to receive treatment, they need to spend 30 seconds off the pitch. Well, we had a clash of heads between Saliba and Joe Linton, and the Newcastle player went down, received his treatment, and as Arsenal were trying to mount an attack, poor Joe Linton was stood on the side, waiting to come on, waiting for the referee to give him the instruction. That's a really bizarre rule, that when the player's clearly injured, as Joe Linton was. It's one that wouldn't surprise me if they got rid of it before too long, Barry. Anyway, 14 minutes in here, still yet to have a real attacking chance for either side. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much, Matt. Now, earlier on today, we saw Everton picking up the lead against Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton did strike back, and it finished all square in the end. Duka Dubba. Watch this game.
Yes, and it finished 1-1 here at Goodison Park. Everton opened the scoring very, very early on through left-back Mikolenko, an unlikely goal scorer, gave Everton the early lead. However, a few moments later, Brighton thought they found the equaliser through Lewis Dunk's incredible volley. However, it was ruled out through offside by VAR. The game kind of went to a standstill from there on in. Brighton having most of the possession but not really creating much due to Everton's compact defence, who defended brilliantly till the last 5 minutes of the game, where Brighton found their way through. Matoma on the left-hand side with some brilliant footwork, beating Jack Harrison, putting a low ball into the box, and it just deflects off Ashley Young's foot over Jordan Pickford's head and into the back of the net. Everton having a few chances towards the end of the game through James Tarkowski, but nothing was to come of it as it finished Everton 1, Brighton 1.
Thank you very much to Duka Duma for the reports from that game. 1-1 between Everton and Brighton and Hove Albion. Right, earlier on today, Sheffield United, first win of the season in dramatic circumstances, beating Wolves at home. Semi Ajayi, the Nigerian international, was amongst the goals as West Bromwich Albion continued their push towards the playoffs in the Championship. A 3-1 home win against a decent Hull City side. Good win that at the Hawthorns for West Bromwich Albion. PSV Eindhoven 4-0 winners at Heracles. It's a routine win. Luke de Jong amongst the goals against the 10 men. The strugglers, Heracles. Benfica, top of the table in Portugal after a 2-0 win away at Chaves. And Chelsea women, 6-0 winners at lunchtime today away at Aston Villa at the Poundland Bescott. 6 different goal scorers. And afterwards, the Chelsea manager Emma Hayes announcing that she will be leaving her job as Chelsea manager at the end of the season to move away from the WSL and to move away from, in her words, club management, which kind of points towards her possibly taking an international job, maybe the USJ job, who knows. Interesting. We'll keep a very close eye on that. The USA currently only have an interim manager in place, and they've not made any bold moves to replace that interim manager in the early stages. John Kane, my producer, is also saying, well, she could theoretically be the Chelsea men's team's manager come the end of the season. Who knows? Well, it's moving away from the WSL, but it's not moving away from club management. Interesting to see how that one materialises. She's got a decent job at Chelsea, which she's done a very decent job, I should say, but she does a decent job as well as a TV pundit from time to time. I've watched her. I think she's very knowledgeable, very clever, and a good manager. Be interesting to see where her next move comes. Celta Vigo 0, Sevilla 0. 18 minutes gone in that game. Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 2 in our featured game in the Bundesliga. After 18 minutes, it's still 0-0 between Newcastle and Arsenal. A game with not too many chances so far. It's a very speedy game, easy on the eye to watch. Atalanta 0, Inter Milan 1. We will be handing back to the guys at Brila FM very soon at half-time for the half-time break. That might give you an opportunity to let us know your thoughts on the game. Arsenal against Newcastle United. No real talking points so far, but let's head back, shall we, to Matt Key, who's watching this game at St James's Park. And, 18 minutes gone. To me, I'm watching it from the corner of my eye, so correct me if I'm wrong, Matt. It looks like a thunderous 100-mile-an-hour game. Not too many chances. There's a bit of composure somewhere in there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment, Barry. Frantic is the word I would use to describe it. Both teams having lots of sort of attractive possession in the middle of the park, but not really being able to get it into the front men or indeed the wide men for Arsenal. Obviously, we know Martinelli and Saka, perhaps their two most dangerous threats. For Newcastle, Callum Wilson's been in such great form, but not been able to get him in the game as of yet. I think for Arsenal, it's evident that they're missing their captain, Martin Ødegaard. Obviously, such a calm figure on the ball. Scored a fantastic goal in this fixture last year, but not available today. So perhaps missing him early on. But they're better from Arsenal. They've won a couple of corners in quick succession, and they're just warming up into this game, having weathered that early Newcastle storm. 20 minutes gone, still Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Matt. And it's still 0-0 between Newcastle and Arsenal. Arsenal have a corner as things stand. FA Cup afternoon, there was one shock. One non-league side beat a Football League side. Only the one shock so far. They're few and far between nowadays, it seems. But what a game it was. Aldershot Town was 7-0 up, the non-leaguers, away at League 2 Swindon. It finished Swindon 4, Aldershot 7. They did come back. 2 Charlie Austin goals. The former Premier League player, of course, Charlie Austin, came on and scored 2 in injury time. Swindon got 4 in the end. It wasn't enough, but it did put a little bit of respectability on the scoreline. Swindon 4, Aldershot Town 7. Here's the final score. Scarborough Athletic 1, Forest Green Rovers 1. A late equaliser there for Forest Green to cancel out the non-leaguers who led for quite some time. So, let's... what should we do now? I'll tell you what we're going to do. Mikel Arteta. Hopefully, he's in a better mood today than he was on Wednesday evening because Arsenal crashed out of the Carabao Cup. Here's what he had to say after a 3-1 defeat away at West Ham United.
Yeah, very disappointed. Obviously, I'm responsible for that. We are out of the cup and we wanted to play a very different game, and especially we wanted to compete in a game like this where we discuss for 48 hours in a very different way to what we've done. There's no messages to send. Whatever messages we send them with words. We don't have to send them in a different way. We have tried to put a team that we believe it was the best to try to compete today in the right way to start the game. And yet the game took a direction, obviously, because of the first goal. And we can discuss that. But after that, still, we have to see much more from the team to earn the right to win in a place like here.
Excellent. That was Mikel Arteta after Arsenal crashed out the Carabao Cup with a 3-1 defeat in midweek away at West Ham United. West Ham's reward, probably not the draw that they would have wanted, a quarter-final trip to Liverpool at Anfield in mid-December. 56% possession for Arsenal at the moment at St James's Park. They're on the attack with Declan Rice down the left-hand side. Carl Starfelt has scored in the Spanish La Liga. Celta Vigo 1, Sevilla 0. Not the greatest of seasons in the league, Sevilla, and they're behind midway through the first half in that game. We will be across our free featured games very soon. Arsenal have won another corner at St James's Park. Let's link up, shall we, with John Kane, who can give us all the very latest odds on those featured games.
The latest in-play betting odds from NairaBet.
Yes, the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. Of course, the big one we are actually talking about is Newcastle against Arsenal. Still 0-0 after 22 minutes. Newcastle are 3.30 for the win. The draw is 2.88 and Arsenal just gone down to 2.50. I'm sure Matt Key, who's our reporter there, can tell us more about why the prices Newcastle are going up and actually Arsenal is going down. Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. As you heard, 2 early goals for Bayern Munich. And after 23 minutes, Dortmund, in fact, they are 15.0 for the win. The draw is just gone up to 11.0. And Bayern Munich, away win, which of course they were leading by 2-0, are 1.13, and quite understandably so. Celta Vigo just taking the lead against Sevilla by 1-0. 23 minutes gone in the first half. Celta Vigo are 1.44 for the win. The draw has just gone up to 4.50, and Sevilla are only 7.50, so it's not a bad odds for an away team. To be fair, it has been a good season for Sevilla, so quite a few things are expected from them. Some of the other games that were maybe people are interested in: Scottish League Cup, Hibernian against Aberdeen. 38 minutes gone, still 0-0. Hibernian, in fact, they're 2.80 for the win. The draw is 2.62, and Aberdeen away win is 3.10. The other game that we're featuring on the show is, of course, Atalanta against Inter Milan. It's half-time. Milan are leading away by 1-0. Atalanta, who do find goals this season and the last few seasons, to be fair, they're gone up to 9.50, which I think is very good odds because Atalanta can do anything in any game. The draw is 4.50, and Inter Milan away win, is 1.40. Just quickly, in the Dutch Eredivisie, after 9 minutes, still 0-0 between Waalwijk and Feyenoord. Waalwijk at home are 13.0. The draw has just gone down to 7.50, and Feyenoord for a away win is 1.18. And finally, in the same division, Excelsior against AZ Alkmaar. Excelsior are 7.50. The draw is 5.25, and Alkmaar has just gone down to 1.36. Just quickly recap the Newcastle one. After 24 minutes, still 0-0. It's gone off on Newcastle to 3.50. The draw is 2.88, and it's gone down for Arsenal 2.50. I'm sure what Matt is going to say about that. Well, all these prices are from NairaBet, and they're all subject to change.
Thank you very much, John. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go off to St James's Park and find out from Matthew Key. It sounds like, Matthew, it's Arsenal that are on top at the moment, judging by those odds that have just been fed to us via NairaBet by John Kane.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I think, as I said at the start, after a really strong 5 minutes from Newcastle, Arsenal can be really impressed with the work they've done. They've really quietened down this St James's Park crowd, which is a place that can obviously, the atmosphere can turn at the flick of a switch. But I think Mikel Arteta will be really happy with what his side have done without really creating any goal-scoring opportunities. He'll be happy with this almost first half an hour now. And they have, of course, the Newcastle, a couple of problems from corners as well. Arsenal actually very successful in that area of the pitch when it comes to attacking corners. And they've tried a couple of short ones, which have almost led to chances. And a few moments ago, a ball that was whipped into the box, and there was some shirt pulling going on. That's for sure. We saw a penalty given for it last week. We didn't see one today. Probably the correct decision, but as we say, we've seen them given. 26 minutes gone. Arsenal having the better of it at the moment. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
If you're betting on sports this week, why not make your money go further? Sign up to NairaBet for 11 days of risk-free betting. If your bet loses, you will get your stake back as a free bet up to 2,000 Naira. All you need to do is register a new account with NairaBet today and qualify to get up to 22,000 Naira in free bets. Visit www.nairabet.com/bonus for more information. General and free bet terms apply. Must be over 18. Must be KYC approved. Must place a qualifying bet. Bets must include football, tennis or basketball markets. Please gamble responsibly.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Football Live is back on Brila FM tomorrow afternoon from 3:10 with Dean Kilford. Two fantastic matches in the Premier League. A Midlands derby at the City Ground where Nottingham Forest take on Aston Villa. And in a 5:30 kick-off at Kenilworth Road, it's Luton Town against Liverpool. We'll also dip into La Liga in Spain where Valencia take on Granada, and Heidenheim against Stuttgart is our featured game in the German Bundesliga. An action-packed show lined up for you tomorrow afternoon on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM.
Sports Radio 88.9 Brila FM.
Oh my word, what is going on here?
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
I don't know how to describe it anymore.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
So close, but yet so far.
Powered by NairaBet.
It's come out of nowhere, really.
The Premier League, La Liga, the Bundesliga, Serie A, the Saudi Pro League.
There's action everywhere you look.
Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
I want more goals. It's a show that's packed to the brim. This is madness. It's chaotic. Superb finish.
Okay guys, welcome to the weekly Football Live production meeting. I've got a great idea. We go out and we ask all the top football managers what they think of the show. Let's do this.
Jurgen Klopp, are you a fan of Football Live?
It's super. It's just super. It's really a top.
Mikel Arteta, how good is Football Live?
I've been really impressed.
Pep, Football Live love you, but do you love Football Live?
They are unique and I enjoy a lot.
Sean Dyche, do you listen to Football Live, the greatest football show on earth?
What are you talking about now? They know and I know, and you probably do know, they've made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Okay, so we need to work on Sean Dyche.
You are listening to Football Live.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Yes, indeed, and it's been an action-packed afternoon. No goals to tell you about in the three matches that we've got featured since we went to that ad break. Usually there's a goal as soon as we go to an ad break, but it's half-time between Atalanta and Inter. We'll catch up with Jacob Collick in just a second. Let's quickly go to St James's Park because there's been a big chance for Newcastle United. Matt Key.
Yeah, sort of the first chance they've had in quite a while. It was a free kick, and Kieran Trippier and Anthony Gordon did a little 1-2 to create a better angle on it, and it was a really good ball to the back post where Dan Burn and all of his height were waiting to attack it, and attack it he did, climbing above Tomiyasu to head the ball back across goal, and there was Callum Wilson who fired over sort of on the half volley from a few yards out. The flag went up for offside, Barry, but I think having looked at it again, it was Dan Burn that was given offside. I'm not sure he was. It was certainly very tight. The lines would have been drawn for sure, and Callum Wilson didn't know it. I can't have a feeling that if he'd have put that in the back of the net, Newcastle might be one up by now. It's the best chance we've had of the game so far. Still not on target, but encouraging signs for Newcastle. Set pieces might be an avenue that they can exploit here. 31 minutes gone, Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
3.30 for the Newcastle win, 2.62 for Arsenal. That's the latest odds with NairaBet. Subject, of course, as always, to change. Let's head for the half-time report in the game in Italy, in Serie A at Gavis Park. Jacob Collop is watching. Is Atalanta against Inter Milan?
Indeed, and it's Atalanta 0, Inter Milan 1, with Hakan Çalhanoğlu scoring from the penalty spot to give the away side the lead. Most of the half, I have to say, was pretty boring. It took until past the 20th minute for us to enjoy our first shots in the game, with Ademola Lookman looking the most likely to score, with crosses and shots that were just coming very, very close to going in. Benjamin Pavard was injured in the process of one of these chances, being replaced by Matteo Darmian, and it was his run later in the half that earned into their penalty, the Atalanta keeper Juan Musso bringing the Italian defender down in the box before being unable to prevent the spot kick from being scored. Hakan hasn't missed a penalty since the 16-17 season. I have to say it hasn't been a classic. The half was disrupted by several injuries, but Inter will be more than happy to head into the second half 1-0 up. Atalanta showed very little, their only shot on target in the half coming in the 6th minute of stoppage time as 10 Koopmeiners headed into the hands of Jan Sommer. Although they can maybe feel aggrieved that Sead Kolasinac, the Inter defender, is still on the pitch after 2 fouls in less than a minute was met with just the 1 booking. A win would give the Nerazzurri 28 points from their opening 11 games, only the 4th time a team has managed this in the era of 3 points for a win, so since the 94-95 season. And it's looking good at the moment for Inter to regain the title they last won in 2021.
Excellent. The odds there, 1.44 for Inter to carry through and win at half-time. They're leading by a goal to nil. 10.00 for Atalanta to turn it around and win. Maybe that needs a big performance in the second half from Ademola Lookman. It's just dropped to 4.00 for the draw, and it's up to 10s for Atalanta now in the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, as always, subject to change. Let's head up to Signal Iduna Park, shall we? Der Klassiker, and Bayern Munich off to a pulsating start. Harry Kane amongst the goals. They were leading 2-0 last time we were across there. Let's join up again with Tom Cooney.
Yeah, Barry, it's quietened down a little bit since then. If you're a Dortmund fan, if you're a Dortmund player, you're so disappointed with that start, because to be honest, on the ball, they started very well. They looked very sharp. Since we last spoke, they've made about 3 half chances for themselves. I think Donyell Malen turned on the halfway line and made a chance for himself by running the half the length of the pitch and forcing Bayern into a block. And just a few moments ago, Marco Reus had a great chance with a half volley from a knockdown, which he put just over the bar. But Bayern, you've got to be careful, even though they've kind of sat in a little bit in this game and they're waiting to pick Dortmund off. It just goes to show how easy they can score, because moments ago, Harry Kane hitting the post with their first chance in a while. It was given offside, but as we just heard, the lines would have been drawn, and from the replay I saw, I think that would have been 3-0 if it had gone in. As it stands, with 33 minutes gone in this game, it's still Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 2.
Yes, 17.00 for Borussia Dortmund to turn that one around and win. It's 11.00 for the draw. 1.12 for Bayern Munich to hold on and go on and win that game and claim all 3 points. It does look like it's their title to lose in Germany this season. Well, with Harry Kane coming in and scoring the goals like he is. Let's turn our attentions now to a big game that's not taking place tomorrow, but it's taking place on Monday evening. It's the Monday evening game. It's a big game as well. It's another London derby. It's Tottenham Hotspur, the league leaders, unbeaten at the top of the Premier League. They are taking on Chelsea. Chelsea have shown a little bit of improvement in the last few weeks, up until last weekend's 2-0 home defeat against Brentford, when normal service seemed to be resumed. Let's hear from the Tottenham Hotspur manager, shall we? Still sitting pretty at the top of the Premier League tree. It's Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, no, I'm not so much a dreamer. Very much in the reality of day to day, and what's important to us is I thought we coped well with the challenge we had on the other night. But, we know that there's another challenge for us Monday night. So looking beyond that doesn't really serve any purpose. Like I said, supporters, by all means, this is their football club, and, they've got to enjoy if things are going well, and provides them with some hopes and dreams and aspirations. But my task is more sort of the mundane day to day.
Yes, just watching the Arsenal game in the corner of my eye. A controversial moment has unfolded. Let's go across, shall we, to Matt Key. Hefty challenge. There's some yellow cards being bandied around. But Matt, no red cards.
No, this one could be close, Barry. It's been simmering a bit, this game. A couple of challenges going in from either side. Saka's been fouled a couple of times, which Arsenal haven't liked. And now Kai Havertz has slid through Dan Burn. Looked like an honest attempt. Oh, sorry, Sean Longstaff. Looked like an honest attempt for the ball, but he is really late on this one. Oh, I don't know about it. I think yellow card came out straight away from Stuart Atwell, who had a pretty good view of it, but the Newcastle players surrounding Havertz, some of them surrounding the referee, some others. A Newcastle player has been booked in it. In the midst of it, get a confirmation of who that is. Don't know if they think the VAR check might still be ongoing, but the minute yellow card, I'd say it's the correct decision. Anthony Gordon, by the way, the Newcastle player, booked for his process during that foul. But yeah, looks like a yellow card it is. It didn't look good at first viewing, but I think on the replay you'd say he's not connected with the studs. Like it initially thought it might have been. If it had been a red initially, it might have been very different. I'm not sure Havertz would still be on the pitch. Still altercations going on, but for now, it's Havertz a yellow. Both teams still on 11 men, and still Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Yeah, still they haven't started play. The referee's been put under increasing pressure, it seems, there by the Newcastle players who are incensed it was only a yellow. I have to say, Matt, I kind of agree with you. I think it was one of those borderline ones, and so VAR, if they do look at it, which they are, is another yellow card for Scher, by the way, of Newcastle. They are still incensed by it. VAR, I can tell you, are having a look. They are speaking with the referee, and we'll come back to Matt and keep a yellow card for Sean Longstaff as well. So it's Newcastle are being punished for that rash challenge from Havertz, borderline between red and yellow. Let's see if anything else comes of it. By the way, Newcastle 1 shot, none on target. Arsenal 7 shots, none on target. Fair to say there are no shooting boots being worn. The game is back underway. No red card. Wow, that might just be the spark that lights the fire at St James's Park. We'll be back to Matt Key in just a few moments' time. Let's cross to Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich, and after a dreadful start, Borussia Dortmund, I think it's fair to say, Tom Cooney, need a spark as well, don't they?
They certainly do, but at the moment, for all their nice little play, they've not threatened the Bayern goal too much. I can't really see where it's coming from. It's Bayern that look the more likely at the moment. Nearly a chance, well, there was a chance, and nearly a third goal just a moment ago. Kingsley Coman chipped the ball into the box. I can't believe how much time Leon Goretzka had. I don't think he realised either, because he tested the ball, and rather than waiting for it to come down, attempted a kind of half bicycle kick, half scissor kick, which didn't end up being too far away from the top left-hand corner. As I say, if he'd waited, he perhaps could have brought it down and had an easier chance, but came close there. We've got about 6 or 7 minutes until half-time. It's flattened out a little bit. It's currently Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 2.
RKC Valvik, struggling in the Eredivisie, are leading against Feyenoord, the champions, by 1-0. Danilo Cleonese with the goal, and Sadio Mane has scored for Al Nassr, who lead early on in the game in the Saudi Pro League against Al Khaleej. We will try and get an update from John Kane, our Saudi Pro expert, in the very near future. And in fact, I'll tell you what, why don't we do it now? Talking about Sadio Mane and talking about the Saudi Pro League, here's John Kane.
Yes, thank you very much. Like Barry said, Al Nassr are leading Al Khaleej by 1-0. Sadio Mane scoring for Al Nassr. Al Ittifaq also playing against Al Raid as we speak as well. In 12 minutes, it's still 0-0. Of course, Al Nassr, with that win, still will keep them 4 points behind Al Hilal. Al Hilal doing very, very well, haven't they? The racist course of this round, of course, we did see Al Hilal yesterday. They beat Al Fatah by 2-0. And of course, Barry will be very, very happy. It was Alexander Mitrovic scoring in the 5th minute for Al Hilal, and then Al Dawsari, who scored 3 minutes into injury time. Who is Salim Al Dawsari? Salim Al Dawsari is the guy who scored that brilliant goal against Argentina in the World Cup. It's been also quite a good game as well between Al Shabab and Al Ittihad. Karim Benzema could not stir his team to a win. Al Shabab scoring through Carlos Jr. in the 14th minute, and it's not really good game for Al Ittihad. And the other games that played yesterday, Al Tai, they drew against Al Fayha by 3 goals each, and Abha playing Al Khudud. They beat Al Khudud, in fact, by 3-2, as you've just heard. And also later on today, Al Ahli are playing Al Riyadh. Al Ahli are on 5th with 22 points. The 4th are Al Fatah with 23 points. 3rd is Al Ta'awun with 24 points. As it stands, Al Nassr with 28 points. And Al Hilal seems like they're running away with it at the moment with 32 points. And of course, that team has got Neymar as well, and we seem to forget that, Barry, sometimes. But it's not only Mitrovic, it's actually Robin Neves, is Neymar for Al Hilal as well.
Thank you very much, John. PSV Eindhoven have built up an 8-point lead at the top of the Eredivisie in the Netherlands. They won 6-0 away at 8th place, Heracles, this afternoon. That was at the Irv Hasito. Heracles not helping themselves. They were reduced rather early on to 10 men. 6 different goal scorers for PSV, rather like Chelsea women today, who won 6-0 away at Aston Villa. 6 different goal scorers in a 6-0 win for PSV this afternoon. So they are really running away. 8 points clear of second placed RZ Alkmaar. FC Twente are currently 3rd, and then 10 points off of the leaders, Feyenoord, the current champions. And of course, Ajax right down in 15th on 8 points. They did win in midweek, Ajax, to climb off of the bottom of the table. And I'm looking forward to actually covering them tomorrow against Heerenveen in the Eredivisie on the show with Dean Kilford. Let's get back, shall we, to the action just before half-time in the game at St James's Park. Still 0-0. That challenge earlier on from Kai Havertz, has it touched the blue paper, so to speak, Matt?
Yeah, certainly in the fans. As we mentioned there, Barry, it was in the end 3 Newcastle players booked for that altercation. So Havertz in the end might consider that he's done well, considering he was the only Arsenal player booked, and 3 Newcastle players ended up on a yellow card. But to be fair, the captains, 2 experienced ones in Jorginho and Lascelles, have calmed things down. And it was Newcastle that have just come quite close. It was really nice play between Almiron and Trippier on the right-hand side. You feel that is where Newcastle are going to get them the most joy from this game. And a brilliant little flick from Almiron to Trippier, who put in a brilliant cross with his right foot, as he so often does. And it was Lascelles that was up from centre-back that couldn't get enough of a contact on it, but it fell to Gordon at the back post. And he tried to control it, and it went out of play. Maybe could have hit that first time, just had a swing at it from close vicinity. It wouldn't have needed to be the most accurate shot to beat Raya in the Arsenal goal. So better signs from Newcastle, but still yet to test Raya in the Arsenal goal. We've got about 10 seconds before the board's going to go up for added time. It's going to be quite a few minutes, I will think, given the few fouls and bookings that we've had in this game. The ball's just gone up now. I'll let you know how much it is. It's 4 minutes added on. Still Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much, Matt Key. I can tell you there has been a goal in one of our other two featured games. Should we find out where it is?
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Let me tell you, it's gone to Inter Milan, who now lead at Atalanta by 2 goals to 0. Although I can now tell you, as soon as we play the jingle, it's almost like it triggers VAR because it's been disallowed. And the Inter Milan second goal doesn't count for anything. It's been disallowed. So it's still Atalanta 0. Inter Milan 1. We'll go across and we'll hear about that disallowed goal in just a second with Jacob Kollick. But first of all, let's go to Tom Cooney, Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. It's not been a particularly good week for Thomas Tuchel. He's under a lot of pressure after his side crashed out of the Cup in Germany, losing at away, wasn't it? It was away to third division minnow Saarbrücken. So he had a lot of criticism for leaving Harry Kane on the bench and not bringing him on. He's just got a yellow card, hasn't he, Tom?
Yeah, I mentioned the game had flattened out a little bit over the last 10 minutes, but Thomas Tuchel, as animated as ever on the sideline, I think he was quite disappointed because we've had 1 yellow card in the game so far for Leroy Sané, who I think it's about 20 minutes ago. He was disappointed at not getting the free kick himself. He pulled down Julian Brandt, I think it was, quite a cynical foul. He's just been fouled just in front of Thomas Tuchel on the touchline. I didn't immediately think it was a yellow card challenge, but to be fair, it's very similar to the one that Sané was booked for. So I think that's where Thomas Tuchel was unhappy. He was remonstrating with the fourth official, and the referee has come over and booked him. So he's in the book now. We're into stoppage time at Signal Iduna Park. Just 1 minute left of that. It's still Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 2.
Let's head to the game between Atalanta and Inter Milan. Inter Milan had the ball in the net, but it has been disallowed. The goal doesn't stand, Jacob Kollick.
Yes, indeed. It's still Atalanta 0, Inter Milan 1. We waited an absolute age for that free kick to be taken. I think it must have taken about 2.5, maybe 3 minutes before this free kick was taken. Mkhitaryan sending the ball wide to Barella, who ran and crossed the ball into the box. There was a bit of a tussle to gain control over it before it fell and was crossed into the box, where Lautaro Martinez headed in for what could have been his 13th goal of the season, but he was maybe a foot offside. It was very, very tight, but it remains Atalanta 0, Inter Milan 1.
The half-time whistle has gone in Germany. We'll be across there in a second. Half-time also in Spain. Celta Vigo 1, Sevilla 0. That's a half-time score I can confirm. Let's go back to Matthew Key at St James's Park. Chance for Arsenal.
Yeah, best bit of football from Arsenal of the half. They've worked it nicely through midfield a couple of times, but as I mentioned earlier, the wide players, they've not been able to get into the game, but they do here. The ball goes wide to Martinelli, and you know what he does? He only has one thing on his mind, takes on his man, cuts inside, has Saka available if he wants to lay it to him. He doesn't. He goes for the shot, right-footed, looks to squeeze it in at the near post, past Pope, but Pope read it well. It didn't have enough power on it. Best chance for Arsenal, but still Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And I can tell you, Inter Milan have got the ball in. The second goal is in the back of that Atalanta net. It is now Atalanta 0, Inter Milan 2. We'll be straight back to Jacob Collick to hear about that goal in Serie A at the Guis Park very shortly. Let's go back to Martinez, by the way, with the goal for Inter. Let's go back to the game. Half-time whistle is imminent in the game between Newcastle and Arsenal, still pulsating. And, well, you know what? Since that challenge, it's got a little bit feisty, hasn't it, Matthew?
Yeah, we've just reached half-time here now at St James's Park, and yeah, it's bubbling, really simmering now, this game. I think both teams won't be unhappy to get in at half-time. Little incident with Bruno Guimaraes at the end of the half. Newcastle won a free kick. He booted the ball at Kai Havertz. Obviously, there's the rule that you can't get in the way. Havertz certainly wasn't in the way, couldn't have done anything about it. Declan Rice and Guimaraes had a little confrontation, and I think both teams will be happy, and the referee will be happy to get down the pitch at half-time. Hopefully things will cool down just a bit. Been a good game at St James's Park, but both teams cancelled each other out in truth. It's Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much, Matt. Let's go and hear about that goal that Inter Milan have scored at the Guis Park. Jacob Collick, it looks like they're heading towards 3 points, Inter Milan.
It looks like that indeed. Atalanta 0, Inter Milan 2. Lautaro Martinez thought he had one before, and he does now. It's a stunning goal. Absolutely beautiful curving shot into the far corner. It was poor defending and passing from Atalanta, though. They really did themselves no favours. They've looked at points the better side this second half, but they really let themselves down there. They were in possession of the ball in their own half, and a poor pass into midfield was claimed by Inter Milan, who were able to just capitalise, move the ball forwards, send in a number of crosses which were all poorly cleared by Atalanta before Lautaro Martinez picked up the ball on the edge of the box and curled in his effort from the left-hand side. It's a stunning goal, and it's well deserved. He's having a fantastic season. That's 12 league goals in 11 games so far this season. What an absolutely stunning start. It is Atalanta 0, Inter Milan 2 as we head into the 60th minute.
Thank you very much for that, Jacob. Inter, top of the table. If they win this one, it'll be 9 wins from 11. 27 goals scored, more than anyone else in the division. But listen to this, 5 goals conceded in 11 games. 22 goal difference. If they win this, they go 5 clear of Juve, who play tomorrow. They're hanging on grimly. They've actually won 7 of their 10. So they're doing quite well. They don't score quite so many goals. They've only conceded 1 more than Inter. It's not one-way traffic so far. AC Milan back in 3rd and Napoli 4th. It looks like it could be tight, but the way Inter Milan are going, you wouldn't back against them claiming the title this year and taking it back to the San Siro. So we've heard about half-time at Newcastle. We've heard about the game reaching the hour mark and Inter leading 2-0 at Atalanta. Let's get off to Signal Iduna Park. The Der Klassiker is going the way of Bayern Munich at half-time. Tom Cooney.
Yeah, half-time here at Signal Iduna Park, and it's Bayern, the away side, who are 2 goals to the good. They raced into a 2-0 lead in the opening 10 minutes before Dortmund really woke up at all. The first one coming from Upamecano from a set piece. Very, very easy goal, you have to say. And much like the second goal that came a few minutes later from Harry Kane, all too easy for Bayern Munich to cut through Borussia Dortmund and find the back of the net. Dortmund have woke up since. You'd have to say there's been chances for both sides. I think Bayern are probably quite happy with the way the game is going, with it being a bit end-to-end, because obviously they're 2 goals to the good, and you'd probably say they look the more dangerous of the 2 sides with the chances they are getting. For Dortmund, they were 2-0 down in the first half last week and managed to pull one back just in half-time, first half stoppage time before coming back to level the game. We nearly had a carbon copy of that. It was Daniel Malen who had a huge chance in stoppage time. The ball came from the right-hand side over to the left, and I think it was a missed kick. It's come back to everyone. And Daniel Malen, who was on the floor, just couldn't get up quick enough to set himself, because if he hits the target, Neuer was completely stranded. It went just over the bar, and you have to think that was a huge moment for Dortmund. So far, they've not really looked too likely other than that. Bayern sitting quite comfortable after the first half. It's Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 2.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
I think I might have put a curse on Inter Milan, only conceding 5 goals in 11 games this season, because Atalanta have gone and got themselves a goal back in that game. We'll be hearing all about that goal in just a second. Scamacca, the former West Ham player, an assist from Ademola Lookman, I can tell you, in amongst that goal. And we'll get full details from Jacob Kollick on the back of our return from FJ and the team over at Brila FM in the studios. It's back to you, FJ.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Yes, welcome back. Bayern Munich got off to the fabulous start, didn't they, in the first half? 2 quick-fire goals. They lead in the game away at Borussia Dortmund in a Der Klassiker 2-0. They just got a third early in the second half, but it has been disallowed. So that doesn't count for anything. Let's head straight back, shall we, to St James's Park. Matthew Key, a substitution at half-time. Dan Burn, subject to that pretty hefty challenge from Kai Havertz before half-time, has gone off injured.
Yeah, not sure if it was related to that or earlier in the half when he went up for a header and he actually collided with Joe Linton. He was off the air, and when you're as tall as Dan Burn, you've got a long way to fall, unfortunately. And he did look uncomfortable after that incident, so I don't know which one it is, but he's off. Livramento, who was so good for Newcastle in midweek in that brilliant win against Man United, he's come on and he'll be looking to make an impact. That does mean that Kieran Trippier's switched over to left back, position he's all too familiar with playing with England. So yeah, Newcastle, bit of a reshuffle. Arsenal, no changes. And the second half does seem to have calmed down slightly after that frantic end to the first half. So it looks like both managers have done their job. 2 minutes played in this second half, still Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Matt Key. Tom Cooney is watching Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. Plenty of incident in the early stages of the second half for you, Tom.
Yes, so Dortmund actually made a change at half-time. They brought on Nicolas Söhler to try and shore things up at the back, and it really has not worked so far. How Bayern aren't 3-0 up, I will never know. Literally, within seconds of the restart, Harry Kane put Jamal Musiala through 1v1. I think he took too much time, hit it straight at the keeper. Then from the resulting corner, Mazraoui had a chance after a bit of pinball in the box. He should have scored with a chance from the penalty spot. And then just before you came to me, Bayern did have the ball in the net, but there wasn't much reaction to that. I think it was Musiala that's chipped the goalkeeper, but it's all come about because Harry Kane was put through and the ball rebounded. But I think everyone accepted Harry Kane was quite significantly offside. So Dortmund really need to settle if they want any chance of coming back into this game. With 49 minutes gone, it's still Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 2.
Thank you very much, Tom Cooney. Let's head off to the game that we are featuring this afternoon in Serie A. It's Atalanta against the leaders, Inter Milan. Last time we were with Jacob Kollick, it was 2-0 to Inter and they were running away with it. But Atalanta have changed the complexion of this game somewhat, haven't they, Jacob?
Yes, they have. Atalanta have hit back not long after falling 2 goals behind. They've pulled one back. Ademola Lookman robbed DiMarco on the edge of the box, who was really being just far too blasé with his possession. Lookman threw in a perfectly placed cross into the box, and Gianluca Scamacca scored, turning home and converting his 5th goal from 5 starts this season. It has to be said, Atalanta have looked the far better side this half, and it should be a really, really interesting last 10 or so minutes, as it's Atalanta 1, Inter Milan 2, heading into the 78th minute.
Thank you very much for that, Jacob Kollick. So Atalanta 1, Inter Milan 2 in Serie A. It's still Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0. We're keeping a very close eye on that with Matt Key, and Tom Cooney is watching the Der Klassiker, in which Bayern Munich lead by 2-0 at Signal Iduna Park against Borussia Dortmund. That big clash in the Bundesliga in Germany. Plenty of action earlier on in the Premier League. Late drama at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United, who were 1-0 down, were 1-0 up. Wolves come back with a late equaliser to make it 1-1. 11 minutes into stoppage time, Sheffield United win a penalty, and that penalty was converted. 3 points for Sheffield United, their first win of the season. Here is their delighted manager, Paul Heckingbottom.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the dramatic nature, it makes it feel even sweeter. But yeah, it would have been harsh if we'd have not how we performed, especially in the second half. I thought the first half was pretty tepid, both teams feeling each other out. Every time we won the ball back in the dangerous areas. So this was a big change, first half, second half. Every time we won the ball back in dangerous areas. So 5 yards over the halfway line in the first half, we generally gave it away within 2 passes. In the second half, we didn't. We had much more quality, and it made Wolves defend, and that was the difference. That was the difference.
Good stuff for Sheffield United and Paul Heckingbottom. Just 1 point from their first 10. With 3 points today, might just give them the launch pad to go on to slightly better things for the rest of the season. Sheffield United 2-1 winners against Wolves. Let's go through those Premier League results for you earlier on. Brentford were winning, losing, and then they won 3-2. Pulsating game against West Ham in the derby. Burnley played 6 at home, lost 6 at home. Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 2. Everton and Brighton ended up 1-1. No surprises that Manchester City went to town, although they took their time before finding the first goal after half an hour, and then they scored 3 in 7 minutes and ended up beating Bournemouth 6-1. And as you just heard, Sheffield United winning for the first time this season against Wolverhampton Wanderers of Bramall Lane by 2-1. So there you have it. Right, elsewhere at the moment, RKC Valvik are 1-1 at half-time in the Eredivisie, but have just had Sean Adewoyo sent off right at the end of the half. The big central defender, the Belgian under-19 international, whose father is Nigerian, is of Nigerian descent. He has been sent off. RKC 1-1 at half-time against Feyenoord. Quinton Timber with the equaliser for the champions. They're going to have an uphill struggle there, struggling Valvik to keep in that game with just 10 men for the last 45. Nigerian Samuel Kalu has scored in Switzerland. Lausanne Sport have taken the lead against Laguna. Samuel Kalu, the Nigerian, with the goal. And that's where we're at the moment. Let's head back to Newcastle, shall we? Newcastle trying to put some pressure on Arsenal at the moment. Matt Key still 0-0. Still a tough one to call, isn't it?
Yeah, very tough one to call. Newcastle there just on the attack, should have done a lot better. It was a brilliant ball from Bruno Guimaraes. It split the Arsenal defence through to Anthony Gordon, and Gordon had plenty up in support with him. Decided to go alone, and he just completely slowed down the attack. He took 2 touches, 3 touches, 4 touches. The Arsenal defenders were able to get back and recover. If he'd just got his head up, it just needed to be a touch and whip across the box. And then who knows what would have happened. Callum Wilson was there with his arms up when the ball didn't go in straight away, and Gordon gave away a foul. In the end, still simmering this one. Havertz perhaps a bit lucky to be on the pitch after sliding in once again. The referee played a really good advantage. Newcastle couldn't benefit from it, but it meant Havertz got away with what would have been a harsh second yellow, but certainly one that you've seen given. So he needs to be careful. Arteta may look to his substitute bench to take the German off. 53 minutes gone, still Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Cristiano Ronaldo scored in the Saudi Pro League. Nasser 1, Khalij 0. His latest score. That's one that's just about to go in at half-time. They're in stoppage time at the end of the first half. Another goal for Cristiano Ronaldo, but still they lead by a 0-0 against Khalij going into half-time in that game. Let's head straight back, shall we, to Newcastle. Great counter-attack and a big chance for the home side, Matthew.
Yeah, you could argue that's the closest that either side have come. It's brilliant play from Callum Wilson, who after Newcastle won the ball back, had to hold it up all on his own while waiting for support. Eventually it arrived in Almiron, running past the striker. Wilson played him in, and then Almiron picked out Anthony Gordon, once again finding himself in good space. This time he had no option to the pass, so had to take the shot on, but his first touch just let him down slightly, took him wide, and the shot was blocked by Tomiyasu, easily gathered by Raya. But that's much better from the home side, and that home crowd started to wake up again. Good for them, not so good for Arsenal. Newcastle started this second half brightly. 10 minutes into it now, Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much for that, Matt. We mentioned a game in Switzerland just a few minutes ago. Samuel Kalou, the Nigerian, scoring to give his side, Lausanne Sport, the lead against Lugano. Well, Jonathan Sabatani struck back to make it 1-1, and they've gone ahead again for the second time in the game, Lausanne Sport, thanks to Brighton Lebu. 10 minutes to go. And it's 2-1 in that game. Half-time in the FA Cup, and a surprise maybe that a non-league side are losing 2-0 at home to an EFL side, because Bromley are flying high in the National League. They're 2-0 down at half-time against Blackpool from League One at half-time. I think that one's on TV in the UK, and it's a really good match-up, to be honest. A really good game that was. I was expecting it to be really tight. Young Boys are away to Manchester City on Wednesday. They've just gone 4-1 up in their game away at Winterthur in Switzerland. Meshak Elia with their fourth goal. I can't see them scoring 4 goals away from home when they go to Manchester City on a Wednesday. In fact, looking ahead to the Champions League, huge match in Group F this Tuesday. Newcastle United, who we're covering at the moment, against Borussia Dortmund, who we're also covering at the moment, both in home action this evening. A game likely to define the group in Group F. Manchester City, they're looking to make it 4 wins from 4 in Group G. Not many are backing them, backing their opponents rather. Switzerland's Young Boys, the visitors, have got 4 this afternoon. I don't think they're going to get 4 on Wednesday. Arsenal face Sevilla in the game at the Emirates, having beaten the Europa League winners away from home a couple of weeks ago in Spain. Another Arsenal win sends them closer to qualification to the round of 16. Manchester United are in Copenhagen, looking to build on that win today at Fulham. United third in the group. In Group A have work to do as well. They've lost 2 of their opening 3. This effectively is a must-win for United, who have yet to go to Galatasaray and then host Bayern Munich on the final day, the final match day. Jack McKenzie has been sent off for Aberdeen with 15 minutes to go at Hampden Park in the semi-final of the Scottish League Cup. Hibernian 0, Aberdeen 0 in that game. Let's head back to St James's Park. Let's go around the 3 grounds that we're covering. First of all, Matt Key at St James's Park. Still a feisty old affair. 0-0, still waiting for the first goal.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Barry, in terms of the weather, it's been drizzling, you'd say, for the whole afternoon. It's now absolutely hammering. Let's hope the same happens with goals. It does feel like a game where if there is one, there could be 2 or 3, but we're going to have to get some actual possession first, because lots of fouls going in at the moment from both sides, just breaking up each other's rhythm. There was a really nice rhythm to this game for the first half an hour, but it's completely come to a standstill, and as I say, it's just a bit of possession and fouls at the moment. Bukayo Saka seemed to get away with sort of a blatant handball a minute ago, completely accidental, where it controlled it, bounced up and hit his arm. The whole ground stopped, it seemed, but the referee didn't give anything, so play came on, much to the frustration of the St James's Park faithful. I'm hoping for a goal, Barry. I'm hoping it's not going to be too far away, because we're approaching the hour mark here as another foul goes in, and it's still Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much, Matt. Let's go around the grounds. Tom Cooney is watching Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. Any signs of a Borussia Dortmund comeback, Tom?
Yes, Barry, this game's completely sparked into life. You know, I feel as though it was the nature of Bayern's start to the second half. I think the fans realised that, wow, we could really be 4-5-0 down in this game. As it is, it's only 2, and you just felt the noise shifted in the ground, and within a couple of minutes, Dortmund are having their best spell of the game. They had a couple of chances. The first one, it was Julian Brandt that got him behind, and he took a touch. I don't think he realised that coming in on his blind side was Marco Reus running onto the ball, who was probably going to score from about 8 yards out. He took it off his feet. Within a couple of minutes later, Reus was in again. He turned well in the box and forced Manuel Neuer into a great save. Couple of changes from both sides. I think Dortmund realising that they've got an opportunity here to get back in the game, and for Bayern Munich, they've taken off Upamecano and replaced him with youngster Alex Pavlovic, and I think it looks like they're changing the system, sensing that Dortmund are coming back into this game, and the next goal in this one is going to be key. As it happens, we're an hour gone. It's still Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 2.
Thank you very much. It's quickly popped over to Italy. Atalanta against Inter Milan. Should be a grandstand finale for Jacob Killock.
Yes, indeed. Skamaka has had another shot saved, a shot from distance that Jan Sommer had to move. Jan Sommer has been intensely active this second half. It has been a far better half of football than the first was. Though Atalanta do seem to be sort of slowing down a little bit, losing energy. They made a number of substitutions not long ago, and that seems to have just broken their rhythm a little bit. Lautaro Martinez also has gone off for Inter, again scoring his 12th goal in 11 games. It's absolutely fantastic start of the season for him. As we head into the 90th minute, it is Atalanta 1, Inter 2.
Thank you very much, Jacob Kolek. Half-time, a couple of half-times in the Saudi Pro. As I'm just keeping an eye because Declan Rice has just come close for the header, just inches wide for Arsenal. Half-times in the Saudi Pro League. Al Nassr 1, Al Khalij 0. Cristiano Ronaldo with the goal. Al Ittifaq 0, Al Raid 0 is a half-time as well. Hibernian 11 men against Aberdeen, 10 men in the Scottish Cup. It was 0-0. They were down to 10 men, Aberdeen, but they've just scored. Bojan Miovski with the goal for Aberdeen. We'll be back to St James's Park to hear about a substitution in a minute. First of all, let's team up with John Kane, who can give us all the latest odds, courtesy of NairaBet.
Yes, latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. I can tell you that the Newcastle Arsenal is suspended. But I will actually try to refresh that just to make sure that is actually not suspended. Yes, it's still suspended. I'm sure Matt Key can tell us something about it. Likewise, it's for Atalanta and Inter Milan. That's suspended. Inter Milan are leading by 2-1 away to Atalanta. They are playing in injury time though. Borussia Dortmund, 64 minutes gone. It's still Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 2. Borussia Dortmund are 34.0 for the win. The draw is 13.0, and Bayern Munich away win. You might just consider it as a done deal, isn't it? It's 1.07. Celta Vigo against Sevilla. The 64th minute, Celta Vigo are leading by 1-0. Celta Vigo are 1.30 for the win. The draw is 4.75, and it's 15.0 for Sevilla away win. I can tell you, Newcastle Arsenal are suspended now, so we'll see what is exactly happening, but no goals just yet. And let's have a look at some of the other games. Barry spoke about Bromley. In fact, I'm going to go back to Barry because there has been a goal at St James Park.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Yes, there has, John. Thank you very much for handing back. We'll be coming back to you in a second for some odds. But what I can tell you is that after 63.5 minutes, it's Newcastle United 1, Arsenal 0. And it's a howler from Raya. The one person on the Arsenal bench that might just be jumping up and down inside his head is the Arsenal substitute goalkeeper. But it's 1-0 to Newcastle United. Let's head over there, shall we, straight away to Matt Key, who can tell us all about a scrappy but priceless goal for Newcastle United.
Yes, priceless, exactly the word, Barry. We saw Arsenal get one against Man City a few weeks ago. It's Newcastle today, and as you said, it's a David Raya howler. It's a ball, it's chance for Jacob Murphy originally that never got cleared, and the ball got whipped back in. The ball seemed to have gone out of play. The Arsenal players all stopped. Newcastle players didn't. And it's been deemed kept in by now. It's been whipped into the box. And Raya, with a simple catch, misses it completely. There's a collision between Gabriel and Joe Linton. And from 2 yards out, Anthony Gordon slammed it into the Arsenal net. There's a VAR check going on here. Potentially the ball out of play, potentially a push in the back, so this could take some time, but for now it's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0.
Well, thank you very much for that. A couple of red cards to tell you about. In fact, we can go and hear about one of them at the Gewiss Park. Jacob Collip deep into injury time, and Atalanta have been reduced to 10 men.
Yes, indeed. It's very disappointing for Atalanta. It's a second yellow card for Rafael Toloi, who only came on as a substitute in the 62nd minute. He got his first yellow card in the 85th and his second yellow card in the 2nd minute of injury time. And it means for all of Atalanta's effort, they're only going to have to work harder now if they want to get something from this game. I just know that Atalanta will be so disappointed if they come away from this with nothing. They have worked so hard in the second half. But Inter Milan, well, we've already mentioned it before, their defence is just superb. So heading into the last couple of minutes, it's Atalanta 1, Inter Milan 2, with Atalanta down to 10 men.
Yes, a red card in La Liga, a red card in Serie A. It's the second yellow card for Celta Vigo's Renato Tapia, just past the hour mark in that game. Celta Vigo at home to Sevilla, and they're currently leading. Despite being down to 10 men, they are leading by a goal to nil. VAR are still having a look at this incident. We'll go back to Matt Key because we can chat, because, you know, we try and avoid VAR with all our passion, don't we? But Matt, it takes forever. They're checking, I think, for the ball going out of play, and now they're checking for a foul because the ball wasn't out of play. Is that right?
Yes, I agree with you, Barry. We don't want to be talking about it every week, but we have to because it happens every week. And the first thing that was being checked was the ball going out. So as I mentioned, Jacob Murphy had a shot, went across the goal, didn't go out, and it almost went off for a throw-in. In fact, Joe Willock picked the ball up. They checked for about a couple of minutes to see if the whole ball had gone out. That's deemed to have not gone out. They've then checked for a foul because Joe Linton and Gabriel clashed at the back post. Looked like a pretty natural collision to me. Two players going for the ball. There's always going to be some contact. I don't think that was a foul. They're now checking for an offside for Anthony Gordon. Was he in front of the Arsenal player? The goal has been given. It's taken an eternity. It almost went in about 5 minutes ago, but I can confirm Anthony Gordon has scored and Newcastle are 1-0 up, finally.
Oh dear, they do it the hard way, don't they? All that celebrating, but at least you get to celebrate the goal twice if it's given, because Anthony Gordon's gone off and celebrated with the Newcastle United fans. Thank you very much for that, Matt. Well, you know what? A goal at Newcastle. Why don't we match it with a goal in the Bundesliga?
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's another goal for Bayern Munich. It's Bayern Munich 3-0 up now away at Dortmund. It looks like game, set and match. However, our good old friend VAR is having a little look at this one as well. And so hold your horses on that one. It might not count. Not yet got a goal scorer, but I can tell you that Bayern Munich have added a third goal. Not sure whether it's going to be given or not. Getting conflicting reports on the screen in front of me here as to whether the goal stands, and the answer to that is we don't know. So it looked offside by all accounts from what Tom, our reporter, is saying. So we'll go over to him, and indeed it has been disallowed. Let's go over to Tom Cooney, shall we? You can give us a little bit more insight into Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. Third goal for Bayern Munich, but the offside flag reigns supreme, Tom.
Yes, Barry. This game has been end-to-end over the past 15 minutes or so. As a neutral, I find myself willing Borussia Dortmund to get the next goal so we can get a grandstand finish. But it's Bayern Munich that looked to have had this game wrapped up. It was Harry Kane he is a real game changer for this Bayern side. He's been so good today. He looked like he'd just gone a little bit early, but acres of space in the middle. He timed his run over the top. Through on goal, 1v1, and Jamal Musiala, who as well has been brilliant today, was there for the tap-in. He squared it to him. We have had a bit of a delay, but as you mentioned, after a couple of minutes of looking at it, they have decided that Harry Kane did just go a little bit early, so Dortmund get a reprieve. We've still got 20 minutes to go in this game. It feels like we should be close to the end already, but Dortmund, they're still alive in this. It's 70 minutes gone. Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern 2.
Thank you very much for that, Tom. Let's head to Italy, shall we? The final whistle has gone, and Inter Milan are cruising at the top of the table. Let's hear about their latest victory. A good away win today at Atalanta, who gave it a good go towards the end, but Jacob Collick, in the end, Inter were just a little bit too good for them.
Yes, indeed. It was a game of two halves as Inter Milan beat Atalanta 2-1, extending their lead at the top of Serie A to 5 points, though AC Milan and Juventus are still to play. But yeah, I think there's been a goal, so you can come back to me in a bit.
Do you know what? You're absolutely right. We will be back to you in just a second because...
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Back in just a second with Jacob to tell us about that final score, Atalanta against Inter Milan. But I can tell you, Bayern Munich have got the third goal. And we can head to Tom Cooney, who can tell us all about what should be a game-winning goal for Bayern Munich.
Yes, Barry, this one looks like it is going to count. And you have to say, as much as I've talked about the game being end-to-end, you've always felt that Bayern just had so much more quality in the final third than their opponents. And that has shown. Harry Kane, who's been the pick of the players today, looks to have wrapped it up. The ball was played down the right-hand side, and released Jamal Musiala, who's been great, as I mentioned, released Kingsley Coman. There was just so much space. It was three Bayern players on the two defenders of Dortmund. The Bayern players were in the gaps. It was Harry Kane in the middle of the 6-yard box, an easy ball across from Kingsley Coman for Harry Kane to tap past the keeper, who had no chance. 72 minutes gone. That looks to be game, set and match now. It's Dortmund 0, Bayern 3.
Let's head back to Italy again now, and Jacob Collick. Jacob, you were telling us about the game between Atalanta and Inter Milan, and they are roller coasting their way to the top, aren't they, Inter Milan? They look a tough prospect to be overhauled at the top of Serie A this season.
Yeah, no, they are indeed. Their defence, their attack, all of it together means they are one of the most formidable sides in Europe. I mean, they were not that long ago in a Champions League final, so they have been and are still one of the best teams in Europe. The first half was exactly what you'd expect from one of Europe's best defences, with both sides limited to a single shot on target between them. The penalty that was conceded by the Atalanta goalkeeper when Darmian was brought down in the box, Hakan Çalhanoğlu converted the chance, and Inter went into the dressing room at half-time, a goal to the good. But the second half saw exactly what you would expect from two of Europe's most exciting attacks, as the pacey and free-flowing Atalanta worked their way through the Inter defence several times, but it was Inter who scored first, with Lautaro Martinez with a fine curling effort, extending Inter's lead, scoring his 12th goal in 11 league games. Atalanta hit back soon after, with Ademola Lookman winning back possession at the edge of Inter's box after poor Federico Di Marco took far too much time on the ball and was muscled off. The cross from Lookman found Scamacca, who scored his 5th goal in 5 starts this season, giving Atalanta a chance in the Lombardy derby. But that's all she wrote. Atalanta just seemed to run out of energy, with a slew of late substitutes, seemingly sapping the energy out of the side as they fell to a late defeat, not helped by defender Rafael Toloi earning 2 yellow cards. That meant that Atalanta were left with only 10 men as the game came to a close. I think Atalanta were let down by poor control, both of passing and self-control, but this makes it 10 league games unbeaten for Inter against Atalanta. And I think the Atalanta manager, Gianpiero Gasperini, will be disappointed. His side showed a lot of effort but couldn't quite convert their chances, despite a good game from Scamacca and Lookman. So Inter's title charge goes on. It's looking like it could be their first title for a couple of years, as we finish Atalanta 1, Inter Milan 2.
Thank you very much for your reports this afternoon, Jacob Collick. A very good game there between Atalanta and Inter Milan, who open up a really sizable gap. At the top of Serie A, they still have the likes of AC Milan and Juventus and even Napoli breathing down their necks. Napoli with a good 2-0 win away at Salernitana earlier on today. Still no Victor Osimhen for them. He's still out injured, although it seems that he will be stepping up his efforts to get fit again in the next couple of weeks. You are listening to Football Live.
If you're betting on sports this week, why not make your money go further? Sign up to NairaBet for 11 days of risk-free betting. If your bet loses, you will get your stake back as a free bet up to 2,000 Naira. All you need to do is register a new account with NairaBet today and qualify to get up to 22,000 Naira in free bets. Visit www.nairabet.com/bonus for more information. General and free bet terms apply. Must be over 18. Must be KYC approved. Must place a qualifying bet. Bets must include football, tennis or basketball markets. Please gamble responsibly.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
Football Live is back on Brila FM tomorrow afternoon from 3:10 with Dean Kilford. Two fantastic matches in the Premier League. A Midlands derby at the City Ground where Nottingham Forest take on Aston Villa. And in a 5:30 kick-off at Kenilworth Road, it's Luton Town against Liverpool. We'll also dip into La Liga in Spain where Valencia take on Granada and Heidenheim against Stuttgart is our featured game in the German Bundesliga. An action-packed show lined up for you tomorrow afternoon on Football Live, exclusive to Brila FM.
Sports Radio 88.9 Brila FM.
Oh my word, what is going on here?
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
I don't know how to describe it anymore.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
So close, but yet so far.
Powered by NairaBet.
It's come out of nowhere, really.
The Premier League, La Liga, the Bundesliga, Serie A, the Saudi Pro League.
There's action everywhere you look.
Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
I want more goals. It's a show that's packed to the brim. This is madness. It's chaotic. Superb finish.
Okay guys, welcome to the weekly Football Live production meeting. I've got a great idea. We go out and we ask all the top football managers what they think of the show. Let's do this.
Jurgen Klopp, are you a fan of Football Live?
It's super. It's just super. It's really a top.
Mikel Arteta, how good is Football Live?
I've been really impressed.
Pep, Football Live love you, but do you love Football Live?
They are unique and I enjoy a lot.
Sean Dyche, do you listen to Football Live, the greatest football show on earth?
What you're talking about now. They know and I know, and you probably do know, they've made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Okay, so we need to work on Sean Dyche.
You are listening to Football Live.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Barry Swain.
Just a shade over 12 minutes to go in the game at St James's Park. It's 1-0 to Newcastle United. Let's head back up there for an update. Matthew Key, a number of substitutions. 12 minutes to go, and it's looking okay for Newcastle at the moment, but not for Arsenal.
Yeah, Eddie Howe will be delighted. It has to be said that since his side have taken the lead, it has been all Arsenal. In fact, the stats just come from a minute ago that in the last 10 minutes, Newcastle have only completed one successful pass, which is quite extraordinary. But to be honest, Arsenal haven't really threatened. All been very pretty, all been very patient, but at some point, they've got to find a way to create a chance, which they've struggled to do throughout the game. And Newcastle, with that goal advantage, can just sit on it. Now, there's been 3 changes for Arsenal since you were last with me. Tomiyasu off for Zinchenko to add a bit of that creativity. So an attacking change there, and then Trossard on for Havertz and Fabio Vieira on for Eddie Nketiah, who after last week's heroics with the hat-trick has struggled to get involved in the game today. It's been a really tight affair, and we said it's going to take a moment of brilliance or a moment of lunacy that could potentially decide it. You have to say, with David Raya's mistake leading to that Newcastle goal, that could be very costly for Arsenal unless they find a way to get an equaliser in the remaining 10 minutes, plus what I imagine will be quite a lot of injury time. 80 minutes played now. Newcastle hold that slender advantage It's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0.
Into the last 10 minutes in La Liga in Spain. Celta Vigo still down to 10 men and leading 1-0 against Sevilla, who've just had a goal disallowed. Let's go to the big match in Germany, Der Klassiker. Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. Time running out, Tom Cooney, for Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, Barry, you have to say that Dortmund look a defeated team now. It's the story of the whole day. It's just been so easy for Bayern Munich. They nearly had a fourth just now. They broke with 3 players, and I was looking where Harry Kane was, but he's doing what he always does, or he tends to do. He was dropping back into holding midfield, and it was actually him that sprung the attack. And Bayern went forward with Sane, Coman, and Musiala, who between them tippy-tappy into the area. It came to Kingsley Coman, and I think he just had so much time. It just looked so relaxed that he probably waited too long, and Dortmund were able to get back and block the shot. But Bayern looked like, if they really want to, they could score more in this game. For Dortmund, it's a case of just damage limitation now for the last 10 minutes. We've got 81 on the clock, and it's Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 3.
Tom, thank you very much. Let's team up now with Naira Bet and our very own John Kane, who can give us all the latest odds in the games taking place at the moment and the big games tomorrow.
The latest in-play betting odds from Naira Bet.
Yes, the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change in the Premier League. 81 minutes gone. It's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. Newcastle has just gone down to 1.30. The draw has just gone up to 4.50. And an Arsenal away win. They've done it before, haven't they? In the last 10 minutes, it's gone up to 26.0, and Newcastle just gone down to 1.30. So it's quite a good price here for Arsenal. Like I said, if you think Arsenal can do it, can be done as well. If you look at over and under for Newcastle, if you think it's going to be over 2.5 goals in the last 8 minutes or so plus stoppage time, it's 8.50, and if it's going to be less than 2.50, is 1.08. I can tell you there's been a goal at Sevilla, so I was going to give you odds for that, but that's been suspended. It's Alkmaar still 0-0 away to Excelsior, and they are 2.20 for the win for away. The draw is 2.15, and a home win for Excelsior is 7.50. Of course, that's the Dutch Eredivisie. Now let's look at some of the odds for tomorrow. Forest are playing Aston Villa in the early kickoff. Forest are 4.0 for the win. The draw is 3.80, and Aston Villa away win is 1.91. So Forest, Villa, both Midland teams. If you're more or less familiar with the UK geography, it can be tasty and it can go either way. The other game that we're concentrating on is Luton against Liverpool. You can imagine Liverpool are firm favourites for that. Liverpool are 1.25 to win at Kenilworth Road. The draw is 7.0, and Luton home win is 11.0. Just quickly on Monday, Spurs against Chelsea, the big London derby. Spurs are 2.15 for the win. The draw is 3.80, and Chelsea are 3.20. Of course, Spurs are slightly favoured. They are playing at home. They're unbeaten as well. So, and Barry, I think after Arsenal's game, if they do end up losing to Newcastle, Spurs will be the only undefeated team in the Premier League as well.
I think you're right. John. Except they did lose to Fulham in the League Cup, of course. Let's not forget.
We'll forget about that one, shall we? We'll forget about that one.
Yes, I can tell you that Sevilla have equalised in Spain. Late equaliser against the 10 men of Celta Vigo. Youssef En-Nesyri has scored that equalised. The Moroccan international has popped up with the all-important goal. The big striker with a big goal. Hibernian have lost to 10 men Aberdeen. Aberdeen through to the final of the Scottish League Cup with a 1-0 win against Hibs at Hampden Park. So, Feyenoord, by the way, the champions in the Eredivisie, are leading at AKC Valvik by 2-1 against the 10 men, but Nykop has scored midway through the second half in that game. Let's catch up with our two featured games. We're into the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game between Newcastle and Arsenal. Still plenty going on. Having another look at that replay goal. And certainly Raya did not cover himself in glory, did he, Matt?
No, yeah, as you say, still looking at that goal. But I think, to be honest, from a football fan's point of view, you'd rather see them given than disallowed. It's one of those ones where if it gets given like it has been, we can talk about it for a day or so and then forget about it. Whereas if it's disallowed incorrectly, as we saw, of course, with Luis Diaz, it's one we're talking about all week. So glad to see that given. To be honest, there wasn't anything really obvious that you think, oh, that shouldn't stand. So probably the right decision in the end, even though it did take quite a lot of time. But yeah, Raya did not cover himself in glory at all, and the goalkeeper debate you feel is going to rage on if Arsenal can't get anything here. Still yet to really create anything. They've got a corner now, but they've chucked Leandro Trossard up top, and he's a very fine player, as we know. But you can't help but feeling that with Lascelles and Cher up against him, it's going to be a real struggle for him unless he's got players around him. He's not the biggest of players at all, so unlikely to win anything in the air. So Arsenal really need to push and get bodies round Leandro Trossard. I feel like Arsenal going to push, and that gives Newcastle more chances on the counter-attack to finish this game off. 5 minutes to go, plus what I imagine will be a considerable amount of added time. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much for that, Matt. We'll be back with Matt in just a short while. Let's quickly head into Germany. Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich. Tom Cooney, still looking comfortable for Bayern Munich?
Well, they're certainly comfortable on the scoreboard, but Borussia Dortmund, credit to them, have kept going. A couple of chances to report since we last spoke. A free kick from Marcel Sabitzer after a good run from Adeyemi that went just over the bar. And just now, before you came to me, it was Moukoko that had a great chance. The ball was worked really nicely from right to left and pulled back to him on the edge of the 6-yard box. The Bayern defenders may have done just enough to put him off. I think there was 2 of them that dived at him, but with his left foot from 6 yards, he had a great opportunity to pull one back for Borussia Dortmund. He hit it over the bar. We've got about 3 minutes to go here. There's no signs of a comeback, I'm afraid. Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 3.
Thank you very much for that, Tom. So it looks like Bayern Munich and Newcastle are going to be picking up the points. It's certain almost really that Bayern Munich are going to be picking them up. There's still time for Arsenal to get back into that game in the big match that we are reporting on this afternoon from the Premier League at St James's Park. I can tell you that Azad Alkmaar have taken the lead late in the day away at Excelsior. And that's a big result for them because they are currently second but behind PSV, and that late goal has come from the Swede Mikael Ladu. Newcastle on the attack at the moment. The referee's whistle has pulled it back and tempers are once again fraying and the yellow card is out. Another Newcastle player in the book. Let's head back to St James's Park. Newcastle not happy with the referee pulling that back, and a yellow card for Guimaraes.
Yeah, well, it's a yellow card for Bruno. I think it's been about time, Barry. And if you've watched any of the Rugby World Cup over the last couple of months, that's the sort of handoff you're used to seeing in that. I think yellow card was the right decision, although Bruno could commit a few fouls in this game and been in the referee's face a couple of times. So perhaps lucky not to have already been booked. I think that was certainly coming. It's a significant one as well for him, as he will miss next week's game against Bournemouth. So not good for Eddie Howe. To be missing one of his most influential players, certainly in the midfield. But Newcastle still keeping Arsenal at bay. You can't blame them. They've got everyone back, let's say. You can't blame them at all. They've been gifted the lead due to that Raya error, and not up to them to take the incentives, up to Arsenal to create the chance that could get them back into this game. But there's too many Newcastle bodies for them to do anything. We're going to be in the 89th minute in any moment now. The board's going to go up, and it could be a big groan from the Newcastle fans as they look to hold on to this lead. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0.
Former Manchester City man Aymeric Laporte has scored for Al Nassr, who are now 2-0 up in the Saudi Pro League and heading towards 3 points. 4 minutes of added time in Dortmund. Dortmund 0. Bayern Munich 3, one-sided there. The Klassiker is going the way once again of Bayern Munich, who sits pretty up towards the top of the table. Bayern Leverkusen winning again comfortably away from home at Hoffenheim today. They're going to take some shifting, you know. They've had a fabulous season so far, have of Leverkusen, and they're going to make it tricky for Bayern Munich, but you think over the course of the season they will probably have enough. Let's look ahead to tomorrow afternoon. John Kane was giving us some odds on the Premier League games tomorrow. Two big games, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa is the Midlands derby. That's followed by Luton Town against Liverpool from Kenilworth Road. Ajax against Heerenveen from the Eredivisie in the WSL. Liverpool against Leicester City, two teams that have made decent starts. In the Bundesliga, our featured game is Wolfsburg against Werder Bremen. In Serie A, it's Roma against Lecce. And tomorrow's show, which is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon through until 7:30 in the evening, will be presented by Dean Kilford. I'm looking forward to being on that show, actually. I'm going to be watching the Ajax against Heerenveen game. Let's head back to Matt Key, shall we? Because the referee is reaching towards that pocket again, and the cards are coming back out.
Yes, they are. Ooh, it's not a nice one from Livramento. He's got his eyes only for the ball, to be fair, as it goes over his head. And as he flicks the ball away, catches Martinelli, almost a bit of a scissor motion, completely accidental, yellow, the right decision. Free kick for Arsenal in a dangerous position as we've entered 8 minutes of added time. I did say there'd be a groan at St James's Park, and there certainly was. 7 minutes for Arsenal to rescue this game. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Harry Kane, his first Klassiker, and he's marked it at the Signal Iduna Park with a hat-trick. Tom Cooney.
Yes, Barry, I was just putting my notes together for full time, thinking we're not going to see anything more in this game, and Dortmund give the ball away in their own half. It's pinched in midfield and poked through to Harry Kane, who runs through, takes his time, waits for the keeper to commit and sends it the other way into the corner for it. Well, it's another hat-trick now. He got one last weekend in the 8-0 at Darmstadt. This one even bigger in a statement win at the Signal Iduna Park. He's got 3, Bayern have got 4. Just a couple of minutes to go now, but that's the icing on the cake here at Signal Iduna Park. Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 4.
Very one-sided. Ouch if you're Borussia Dortmund. Ecstasy if you're Bayern Munich. The champions are looking ominously good, aren't they? Perhaps that just quickly extinguishes their cup exit in midweek, so they can concentrate on the Champions League and, of course, concentrate on the Bundesliga. Let's cross back to Matt Key. A foul throw from Fabio Vieira.
It's Sunday League, Barry. It's perfectly summed up. A foul throw from Fabio Vieira. Arsenal obviously looking to get on with it, but I mean the throw wasn't going anywhere near an Arsenal player anyway, but he took it from the wrong position. Feet were off the ground. Foul throws, you wish you'd see more of those, because you do see plenty in the Premier League. They very, very rarely get given. That one rightly so. Comical Sunday League stuff from Arsenal here as time is slipping away from them. 3 minutes of the 8 played now, 5 minutes left for Arsenal, and they're still not looking like they're going to break down this fierce Newcastle defence. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much. A blast from the past. Morgan Schneiderlin has scored an own goal for his side in Greece, Kifisia, and that own goal has given AEK Athens the lead in the Greek league. Just a name that's popped up there. It really is a blast from the past. Full-time whistle has gone. Harry Kane steals the headlines into Klassiker. Tom Cooney.
Yeah, Barry, full-time here in Dortmund, and it's a thumping win for the away team, Bayern Munich. They started early with a couple of goals in the first 10 minutes from Upamecano and Harry Kane, both provided by Leroy Sané, and they never really looked back. Dortmund had their chances in the game, some nice tidy bits of play, but they never really looked too lightly. And as the game drew to a close and that third goal seemed all important, it was it was Bayern Munich that got it through Harry Kane with his second of the game. The provider this time, Kingsley Coman, and just a couple of seconds before the final whistle, Harry Kane completed his hat-trick. He was put through by the substitute Alex Pavlovic, and he finished in style to get his hat-trick in the Klassiker. A huge win for Bayern Munich as they chase down the impressive Bayer Leverkusen at the top of the table. And on today's showing, I know it's a long season, but you had to question how Borussia Dortmund are going to recover from this and try and go toe-to-toe with the teams at the top and get them back into a title race once again. Full time here in Germany, and it's a comprehensive win for the away side. Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich and Harry Kane 4.
Thank you very much for your brilliant reports this afternoon, Tom Cooney. Keeping a very close eye on Klassiker. We was expecting it to be a little bit more one-sided than it actually was. Harry Kane with a hat-trick, 4-0. Bayern Munich winning in the end, but they've still got to chase down Bayer Leverkusen. Xabi Alonso is doing a fantastic job there in charge of Bayer Leverkusen. Having a chat with a few Liverpool fans in the last week or so, saying he's got to be the next Liverpool manager once Jurgen Klopp gives it time to move on. He has got to be the next Liverpool manager, and I tell you what, you wouldn't bet against it at the moment. He's doing a fantastic job for Bayer Leverkusen, who won again this afternoon. A comfortable 3-1 win at Hoffenheim, who are dreadful at home but quite brilliant away from home. Victor Boniface not amongst the goals this afternoon. Florian Wirtz scoring one of the goals. Alex Grimaldi, the Spanish international, chipping in with 2, and a good 3-1 win for Bayer Leverkusen in their game. Tonight, by the way, the late game in Italy is AC Milan against Udinese at the San Siro. Udinese 10 without win, but 8 of those 10 have been draws, so don't back against a draw, will you? They've drawn their last 4. The lack of wins leaves Udinese in the thick of the relegation places down at the bottom. AC Milan currently 3rd and trying desperately to keep up with their nearest and dearest neighbours, but have not won in 3. The late one in Spain, 5th against 4th. Real Sociedad, top of Group D in the Champions League, taking on Barcelona at the Real Arena. Should be a real belter of a game, that one. In South America tonight, it's the Copa de Libertadores. It's Brazil against Argentina. It's Fluminense of Brazil, the favourites, taking on Boca Juniors in the Maracanã, a one-off match in Rio de Janeiro. Boca currently 10th in the Argentine top flight. Fluminense 8th in the Serie A Brazil. When they have a run in this competition, all the league forms just go out of the window and they concentrate solely on this competition. There's nothing quite like South American football. Neither side have been concentrating on their league campaigns at all this season. All eggs in the South American basket for the ultimate prize in South American football. Fluminense against Boca Juniors this evening. There's about a minute of stoppage time until the end of the show. So let's head back to Matt Key for an update. And Arsenal are giving it a right good go, aren't they, Matt?
Yeah, so many corners and free kicks for Arsenal in dangerous positions, but you've got to give credit to Newcastle. They've defended them all absolutely brilliantly and without too much fuss, to be honest. Arsenal still not been able to find that clear-cut chance as a corner gets whipped in, gets cleared away. That could well be it, to be honest with you. Arsenal got about 30 seconds to get through, get the ball into the box, but a huge cheer as that last corner was cleared. The Newcastle fans think they have done it, and they are almost there. Huge win for Newcastle. This is going to be with their antics in midweek as well. So a brilliant week for them. Quarter-final of the League Cup. Win against Arsenal, one of the big boys at home, and for Arsenal the opposite. A terrible result in midweek, followed up by another poor one here. It's going to finish here at Newcastle unless something absolutely extraordinary happens. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0, both with Champions League action to come in the week. Fantastic performance from Newcastle in a game that could have gone either way, but in the end it's been decided by a mistake by David Raya in the Arsenal goal. Full time here at St James's Park, and it is finished. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much for that, Matt. And with that, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you very much to all of our reporters this afternoon. It's been a pulsating afternoon. Bayern Munich taking bragging rights in the Der Klassiker. Newcastle United beating Arsenal. Manchester City hitting Bournemouth for 6. And Brentford winning a 5-goal thriller in the London derby against West Ham United. We will, of course, be back, and we'll be doing it all again tomorrow afternoon with Dean Kilford here on Football Live. Brila FM, good night. Today's show was produced by John Kane and presented by Barry Swain. A big thank you to all of our reporters that have taken part on today's show. Thank you also to Nairabet, the official sponsor of Football Live here on Brila FM. Football Live is back at 3:10 tomorrow afternoon with Dean Kilford. We'll see you then.